The following radio program you're about to listen to is provided to you, the listener, by Inked Geek Studios. Get this and other great shows at inkedgeekstudios.com. Mind of a Geek is brought to you by the new Mind of a Geek t-shirt. Get yours today at tiny.cc/igswag. Good evening, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Mind of a Geek. I am your host, Nate, and I am joined, as always, by Brandon.
Hello.
Brandon, how's it going?
Oh, I'm super. How are you?
Oh, you know, it's Friday night. We're podcasting. We're here. We have some local guests this evening.
Do we?
We do.
I think we have four.
Four local guests this evening.
New record.
We have a local band.
We've had 5-hour podcasts. We've had JFs. We've had Corey's. And now this world has bees.
Yeah, dude.
Yay! Yay!
There we go. So, I didn't catch your names in the pre-show, so why don't you guys just go ahead and introduce yourselves really quick.
Sure. I'm Brandon as well, but with an E instead of an O, if that helps.
Oh, we have a drop for that.
I'm Drew. I'm Bill. Play drums for This World Has Bees.
Keith.
Very cool. So, like, as we mentioned, and as the drummer mentioned, the band is called This World Has Bees. You guys are based out of Maine, correct?
Correct. Yeah.
You guys, any particular part, or?
Well, we like to say Portland only because everybody knows where that is, but we play in Gray. That's where our practice space is.
Okay.
If we go anywhere outside of the state, we'll say Portland.
It's just easier. We all live in different places,
Yeah.
so
Right. But everybody knowing Maine is predicated on knowing Portland, right?
Right.
You're
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
they either know that or Bar Harbor. That's like the
Right.
two cities you get to drop. That's about it.
Oh my God, you're from Maine? Are you from Portland? No, I'm from Wyndham. What the fuck is a Wyndham?
exactly.
Right.
Isn't that from Canada?
Windham. Well, there's Windham, New Hampshire, too.
Right. Oh yeah, you guys got lobster. It's cold there, right?
Does it snow year round? Yeah, we ride snowmobiles to school. Really? That's what I told my friend. I thought that.
That's actually true,
Hey,
given where I'm from.
That was a real conversation I had.
I've ridden a snowmobile to school, so
Yeah. Whoa. I'm from northern Maine, and that's true.
Why? That's the real question.
So I appreciate you guys taking the time to come on. So you guys have been a band for how long?
This iteration of the band has been
4 months now.
4 months.
Okay.
Previously to that, it's been about a year. We had our original guitar player who had to leave for life reasons, and we picked up Keith, and so we're starting to kind of kick it into high gear and get a little more serious about it. We're going to go into a studio tomorrow, record a song. You can listen to the other song, 1,000 Yard Stare, on our Facebook. We also have a Twitter and Instagram. But we'll have a second song, and yeah.
So I guess the pertinent thing to ask would be, what kind of music are you playing, and what kind of music are you into?
Yeah, I guess we'll go down the line. We're a post band, which I'll let Drew deal with the vocabulary, but we kind of in the realm of post rock. Or
Not like Mailman, though.
do what?
You're not like Four Mailmen, though. What is post rock?
Post rock is an instrumental type of music that relies heavily on motifs and more emotional type thing. A lot of effects driven instruments, guitar and bass wise. There's no vocals. There can be vocals in bands, but our band in particular doesn't do that type of thing. So it's 4 guys just with instruments on stage, if you're into that.
I feel like ambient rock would be more understood by a lot of people.
Yeah,
I always have the hardest time explaining post rock when it's asked to me like what it is. So.
I guess the bigger bands in the genre that people might know, Explosions in the Sky.
This Will Destroy You.
This Will Destroy You.
Mogwai.
Mogwai.
Yeah.
Mogwai I've heard of. So what you're telling me is your musical palette is a lot deeper and more cultured than ours.
Hey, no judgment.
That's yeah, we meant.
Thank you for putting it out. Yes.
Bill would know I like dirty, bad music, and so does Nate.
Yeah. Well, speaking of the backgrounds, I mean, we actually had this conversation yesterday. We all come from really different backgrounds in terms of how we got here. I've always been into tech metal and death metal. That's kind of been my wheelhouse. And then as you get older, obviously, you die down and you don't want to listen to that stuff as much.
So this is an argument that we had on our previous show. You said tech metal and death metal, right? But everything falls under the umbrella of rock, yes?
Yes. Broadly, yeah, I'd say yeah.
But would you argue the point that there are other niches? So you can't just say you like rock, right?
Well, you can.
You can, right. But, I mean, given what we were talking about earlier, that was your argument.
Well, I think
That's
it was
all rock.
I think
rock
it was more
is rock,
so,
country is country.
It was more so based off of, yeah, exactly, it was country. So, like I mentioned, I was saying in the pre-show, like, you know, I go from Avenged Sevenfold to Luke Bryan, right? And he always gives me crap because he's Northern Mainer. Like, country is like, you know, your Johnny Cash, your Hank Williams, like your classic country.
Folk, and what you're listening to isn't country, it's pop.
Yeah, it's pop country. Is what I call it.
Right, see, but it's pop country. It's still under the umbrella of country, in the same way that Five Finger Death Punch still somehow falls under the umbrella of metal.
It's all fucking shit, is what it is. I mean, it's just...
Yeah, if you guys need a moment, we'll let you.
I was actually about to say we got into the mommy and daddy fight segment pretty early.
If you get familiar with the show, you'll find that goes on.
There's always a brief altercation.
The question to really ask is, if you're a Five Finger Death Punch fan, were you / are you a Motograter fan?
I wouldn't go so far as to say that I'm a Five Finger fan. I like some of their music. I'm a big cover guy, so like their cover of Bad Company, their cover of House of the Rising Sun. But I mean, if it gives any hint as to my real like of Five Finger Death Punch, my favorite song by them is "Remember Everything," which is nothing like any of their other songs. Yeah. So, because lyrically, "Remember Everything" is very deep. Now, whether it was written by somebody else and just performed by them, I don't know. But that particular song I enjoy. But I mean, I don't know. They're fun live because they're loud. But I mean, I would classify them as like bro metal.
Oh yeah,
like
no, absolutely.
Bro
metal.
Like it's like
it's bro metal.
Yeah, like all the what's that stupid MMA gear that MMA elite tap out. Yeah, they're like the tap out MMA elite metal band.
Right.
I got a tribal tattoo.
Yeah, no. If you go to a Five Finger Death Punch concert, you're seeing shaved heads, tribal tattoos, and tap out shirts.
Right.
100%.
I've got one of the three. Got my shaved head. That's just because I'm old.
You don't have a tribal tattoo on your lower back?
No, I don't have a tribal tattoo.
No. No. What am I going to aim at later?
Ooh, this got weird.
Hey, so
this got just right. It's all
right. No. It's par for the course if you listen to the show. So moving on down the line, we have death metal and what was the other thing? I forget.
We'll say tech metal. Sure.
I've been drinking, so it's fine.
Cool.
Moving on. Next.
I literally grew up listening to The Cure and The Smiths, and then somehow got into screamo and grindcore, and got into ambient music at the same time. And on the way here, I was listening to like dubstep and techno and J-pop. So I am literally all over the fucking
I can
place.
definitely feel the dubstep and the J-pop. Are you a fan of Omnitica?
I've not heard of Omnitica.
All right. That particular artist doesn't have a lot of stuff, but the one particular song that he has that I enjoy is called Yo Ho Ho and a Bottle of Bass. And it's
like I really, the reason why like I like dubstep so much is I really like the drops, which is the same thing like why I used to like metalcore. I like breakdowns in general in music.
Right.
I just like that intensity, and that just draws me to music in general.
There was, when it comes to like the drop of whether it's just loudness or whether it's the bass or whatever it is, the one song, and I don't know why this comes to mind, but there was a rap song from like the early aughts, and it was two dudes, and I forget the song. It's a horrible reference, but I just remembered one of the lines in the song was, and then you hear boom from the amplifiers. Mm-hmm. And I forget the song, but if you had that played in like a system, like the bass drop when they had that particular line was just like you didn't forget it once you heard it one time.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, in the chat room, JF in the chat room knows Omnitica. Omnitica's awesome. No, I definitely I like the dubstep. Sometimes I'll play it when I'm streaming because it gets you away from.
Hey, y'all like the dubstep?
Have you ever been to like a dubstep show?
I have
before?
not, for the same reason that like I wouldn't go to like an ICP concert.
Does that fall in line with paying
Are you
money
saying
to
you
see
like
someone?
ICP? Just
No,
curious.
no, I'm not. Oh, thank you, Ashley. Yin Yang Twins. Yeah, the Yin Yang Twins are that song. Yeah, I forget the name of the song though. But
So
anyway,
going to a dubstep show, does that
Whisper
fall in
song?
line with?
no, because I would think it'd be just like a giant rave, isn't it? Isn't it all like drugs and glow sticks?
I haven't been to a dubstep concert. I've been to raves, and yes, those are all drugs and glow sticks. But I hear dubstep is a little bit different. I mean, there's a lot of like party bros, and there's some like club kids, but it's just people like going to see a show. Just
Right.
regular
I wouldn't
people.
want to be on the floor. I think it would be cool to go and sit and watch the DJ perform. Like I
Yeah.
would.
Again, though, like, what are you actually watching?
You're watching the DJ
Do what?
perform.
Push buttons?
No. He's a lot of like your.
Don't. I know what DJs do, but
But
again,
no,
like,
a lot of like your
if
bigger
you're gonna pay
dubstep
money to go
guys.
see a show, aren't you gonna want to see the band perform their instruments and not see a DJ with a laptop and
Well,
two turntables?
a lot of the big ones, like your Skrillex, your Dead Mouse, stuff like that, like they don't. It's not electronic on a laptop. Like they still have their vinyl. They're still swapping records. They're still scratching manually,
So you're
and
going.
that's what you're watching.
You're going to watch guys swap records.
And scratch.
That's the
Yeah.
thing. I think if you're going to those type of shows, you're not the type of person that gives a literal.
Yeah,
shit
you're
about
there for the
performance.
light
You just
show.
wanna
You're
go
there for the
dance.
bass.
Yeah, you're
Yeah.
there for the feel of it.
Yeah, or you want to like check people out. That's kind of the whole.
Right.
Right. No, that I can understand.
Yeah, but like I would love to like the two I just mentioned, Skrillex or Dead Mouse. Like, man, I would love to see a live Dead Mouse concert.
I've
Yeah,
seen Dead Mouse
absolutely.
live.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Was it good?
in Santa Fe. It was in 2014.
I hear he's impressive.
Yeah, it was like the light show. Obviously, is
Right.
phenomenal, and yeah, I don't think Dead Mouse is dubstep. I think that would be a slap in the face to people that like that music. But I don't really know those type of genres.
Yeah,
really
there's a
well.
lot of subgenres.
It's kind of like
there.
metal. If you get into the dance realm, it's just an absurd amount of subgenres.
Right. Yeah, and just like how you said, like you wouldn't want to call Dead Mouse dubstep. Like it's the same way where people give me shit when I call Avenged Sevenfold metal. They're like, it's hard rock at the most. Like it's not real metal. And it's like, so
Yeah.
everyone kind of has their, I mean, along with what's on paper, everyone has their own personal definition of what defines a genre.
Is that not
Yeah.
a road you could go down forever, though, splitting hairs over what music is what?
Well, we were doing it with country, so yeah.
It wasn't country.
See?
But as musicians, would you say that you listen to music in a more analytical way? Like your enjoyment comes from different things than the layman?
I mean, I personally I have to sit down and tell myself, okay, I'm going to analyze this. Like I am listening to music for study to learn something from it, to try to learn, pick up the composition technique from the person writing it. So I have to put my mind in that type of headspace. Usually when I just sit down and listen, I'm just vegging out and just taking it at face value, if that makes any sense.
It does.
Yeah, I hate listening to music with that mindset. If I find myself analyzing too much, it just takes away from the enjoyment of it. It's just, music is so much more interesting and so much more just fun when you kind of get lost in it. You're just like, oh man, and you have some kind of almost emotional reaction to it rather than trying to pick it apart for technicalities and all that kind of stuff. That's part of the fun and really getting into music. And we were going down the line talking about our backgrounds. I listened to a lot of jazz, especially through high school, and then eventually got into more ambient rock. And that's the thing with jazz, and a lot of ambient stuff too, which really doesn't have a lot of structure. You can, if you really know a lot about music and know a lot about jazz, you can pick apart technique. But I was never that technical of a musician, so I just listened to it for what's cool, what's good, and what kind of gave me what got a reaction out of me. And when I got into post rock, it was kind of for the same reasons, because a lot of it is really emotional, really deep, very very tells stories, and it's very soundtrack-ish,
Well, and then the
Yeah.
thing is, I think the thing that really attracts people to post rock is that it's always a different story. It's whatever story you want to come up with.
Right.
Whatever emotion it evokes for you is your story. There's no lyrics, so you're not really being led a certain direction. you get to feel however you want to feel. I think that's a great thing.
I can really identify with that. Interpret it as you will.
Right.
But I do agree that I listen to music that I tend to identify with that makes me feel something.
Right.
You know.
Well, that's where I go with. I mean, either the music has to bring back memories of a time that I listened to it, and it helped me get through things, or I relate to the music itself. I mean, you know, like that's the thing with the pop country. I'm typically a very sappy person. Pop country is very sappy, so it fits well. Avenged Sevenfold is really big for me because the music, there was a lot behind it, and like what introduced me to Avenged Sevenfold was like "Seize the Day," which was a very powerful song. But what I was gonna say before we went to the identifying part, when it comes to the ambient rock, I think that's a unique approach in a way where it's not so much mainstream, because if you think back to music, and I think a lot of people could feel this way, whether it's, you know, your aughts, your 90s, your 80s, your 70s, when you think of a song, you don't think of a particular lyric. A lot of the times you think of a guitar riff or a drum beat or things like that. Like that's like when you think of Enter Sandman, you think of that opening guitar riff. When you think of you know, Bark at the Moon, it's the guitar riff. Or even coming further up, like Nirvana, like you hear that guitar riff for Smells Like Teen Spirit and you instantly know what it is.
I think a lot of what you're mentioning too is nostalgia. It's almost like associating smell, you know?
Right.
Those parts in those songs take you to a place.
Right. But that's what I'm saying though, is it's the music and it's the notes and the rhythm that pulls that memory in. Like, it's not so much the lyrics. In some way it is, sure, and depending on the song, depending on if the music is simple but the lyrics are powerful, you know, for sure. But a lot of that memory, like even with me for Avenged, it's the Bat Country guitar solo, it's the Afterlife guitar solo, things like that. So a lot of it is that music. So I think having a band that is purely just that music, where you don't so much have the lyrics and you are creating, you know, those moments of memory and the feelings that will stick. I think that not only in one way allows for the music to be more powerful because you don't have the lyrics pulling from it, but I think on the other end that also puts a lot more weight on it where you guys don't have the lyrics to fall back on in some ways. So whereas, you know, you would have, you know, your first verse, your second verse, your chorus, your bridge, things like that. So where you know, it might be able to be a little bit repetitious while your lead vocalist would be singing. You guys don't have that. From the very first note to the very last note, the music has to be captivating.
Like that's something that we definitely we don't set out. At least I personally don't. I don't set out to like write a hook in every song. I'm not trying to. It has to come naturally. If there's a rhythm or a set of notes that I like, I'll try to make it fit in terms of something being catchy. But you're absolutely right. And I think that's why post rock is kind of niche. It's not elitist by any means, but you know, people, you can take it or leave it because some people want that hook. They want to be able to get drug in by something every single.
Well,
song.
some people just need lyrics, and kind of to your point, you don't really remember the lyrics. You remember like a guitar hook. I think when people do remember lyrics, they don't remember like the words, but they remember the way the words were sung.
Right.
And the way I look at post rock, you know, at the end of the day, like, vocals is just another guitar line. If you really want to break it down, it's really just another guitar being played. So you can like take a guitar part and write it like a vocal line. And there's times that like Brandon does that when, you know, we play songs. So not having the vocals, where I'd like to use vocals sometimes when I feel the song calls for it, I don't think it's absolutely necessary to get what we're trying to convey across.
Or any post-rock band, I think, for that matter. And the cool thing about post-rock bands is that even the famous ones still probably have 9-to-5 jobs because it's not exactly a money-making genre of music for the most part. So
unless you're This Will Destroy You,
yeah,
and you get your song in the Olympics.
Exactly.
Or whatever.
So there's a few bands that are definitely the caveat, but you can go and see them, and you know you can kind of get pulled in, and I think it's something that needs to be experienced. You can listen to all the albums and all the vinyl that you want, but getting that really big wave of sound in a crowd of people is, I think, for me, is what post-rock's all about. Just kind of interacting and being with others. That's a really neat thing about it. Nobody's pissy at post-rock shows, I guess is what I'm trying to say. Like, nobody's going to fight you.
There's no mosh pits.
Everybody's like pretty chill and just like there just to like have the experience.
There's no ego at a post-rock show. Everybody's cool.
It's post-ego.
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 It's the next evolution of man, bro.
Ego, super ego, and post-ego.
Post-ego. Yeah.
They're meta rock.
You know what's
Meta rock.
you know what's fucking meta is the chat room right now.
Chat room is going nuts.
I think
Well, I'm
it's-
interacting with your chat room while I'm here, which is pretty fun actually, and that's
Yeah,
why
yeah,
I'm
yeah,
glad
that's-
that I'm so fucking meta. I'm actually in the interview and I'm in the chat room. I'm everywhere.
Yeah, our
I'm like
chat
fucking impending doom.
our chat room is a blast. We have a fun live audience that is always very active, and they're all basically, for the most part, music lovers in some way or another. So it's
Cool.
yeah. So they're all. I'm going to apologize because I forgot your name. Third from, well, I guess it would be second from the left. The drummer. What was your first name?
Bill.
Bill. I don't think you gave us your kind of music background.
I was definitely rooted heavily in like the nerdiest of progressive rock, like starting with Rush and up through Dream Theater,
Nice.
more in progressive metal, kind of leading into stuff like Between the Buried and Me, which is kind of the tail end of heavy stuff that I still listen to, I think. And then I kind of started to enjoy the space in between the notes a little more, and found stuff like Caspian and all that post rock that were, pretty similar to.
So how do you end up finding these bands? Like what? How does one lead you to another? Is it word of mouth, or do you just go down a rabbit hole on YouTube, or what?
We share. I mean, every time one of us hears a song or hears an album or even hears a band that we like, we're constantly sharing music. And in fact, just today, at least there was a couple. The Contortionist has a new album out, so Brandon's been pushing that on us. And I found a band called Degree of Arc from England. That's a post-rock band that I'd never heard of before, and heard an album today, was just kind of blown away. So I fired that one out in a text message. So I guess that's word of mouth.
Post rock is very word of mouth, and there's a few communities which we have no affiliation with, but I love them. If anybody here is a Redditor, the post rock Reddit always post albums. Like every day, it's just album on album on album. You can really get lost in that. It's a really good resource.
That's cool. There's nothing I love more than just going down the rabbit hole of new music. Granted,
Oh, me too.
most of the music that I find that I like, you guys wouldn't like, but I definitely spend a lot of time on Spotify. Like, oh, you listen to this, you might like this, on and on.
The sharing of the playlist. It is a good time. That kind of goes into the next thing. So where you guys share music so much, or share what you find, I should say. So how similar, like now that you guys are in the band together and like, you've come to this point, like how, like have your music tastes kind of become similar? Like for like Brandon, for example, like do you like something that perhaps you didn't think you would have liked 2 years ago because it was introduced to you by one of these guys?
Absolutely. I feel like the really, really softer ambient part of post rock I'm a really like, it's got to be big hits and like epic, and that's my type of post rock. And somebody like Keith, who listens to a lot more ambient music, that's kind of more meandering in the sense. I didn't find myself enjoying that as much until he kept sharing albums, and I gave it a shot.
Apparently, we need to know the dog's
Wait, hold
musical
on. He's
yeah.
part pug, part potato.
Yeah, the dog.
So
the dog needs a formal intro.
Yeah, these are my dogs. This is Django. I'm a massive, massive Star Wars fan. So this is Django, and my shepherd who's on the floor, you probably can't see him, is Boba.
Nice.
You should join us for the previous show so we can argue about
I would
Star
love
Wars.
to.
Yeah.
Are you kidding me?
Brandon and I are ridiculous Star Wars fans. So if we're gonna have a Star Wars I've been actually looking forward to this podcast because Brandon, talking to you before, you were saying that, oh yeah, sometimes we talk about Star Wars.
Well, we had
please
a
let's talk about Star
podcast based around Star Wars, but now we kind of have a general one that's
Right.
whatever. But
And I don't know if you can see from, I don't know how big our video is on that, but I have the Imperial Army logo tattooed on my neck. So
Oh, no,
I
yeah,
can't.
Yeah,
but
that's awesome.
I
That's
got
kind of cool.
Imperial Army and Resident Evil Umbrella Corp.
Well, I don't know if you can
So-
see my shirt. Hold on a second here. This is my shirt I wear today. This is actually the plot of
Oh, nice.
episode 4. If you follow the orange line, so we got that, the escape pod, the message, and all the way over here to
You know,
when
if you-
that's
that is cool.
If
Where
you-
did you get that? You don't want to tell me. I understand.
I don't remember. I might have been Newberry Comics.
Really?
Oh, nice. If you change just a couple things on that, you also have the plot for Force Awakens.
Yes, that's true.
I mean, it is a dual shirt. It's like 2 for 1.
That's very true.
Yeah,
I did that on purpose because we can talk about it for a second.
So that
Are
being
you
said,
guys yay or nay for Abrams?
Yeah, exactly what I was going to
Yeah.
ask. You know my body so well.
What was that? What was the question?
Are you yay or nay for J.J. Abrams on episode 9?
I am not only yay or nay, I am gay for JJ Abrams. The fucking guy's awesome. All right, I'll admit the only miss hit for him for me was the Star Wars movie that he did. I wasn't really fired up about that, but I loved The Force Awakens. I don't know if that makes me that puts me down a notch, but I thought The Force Awakens was awesome.
Big yay for me.
Yeah.
So here's the thing. I think J.J. Abrams did what he had to do for fan service, like using actual.
That's exactly what I said.
Yep.
Exactly what I said.
But that being said, he kind of knocked it out of the park, even though it literally just
He
is.
did.
Right. So
Yeah,
that being said, would that be your first choice, or what do you think of Ryan Johnson? Given that he did 8 has no reshoots, no trouble. It's just going to be released. You don't think maybe they could have just gone on with him?
What was the falling out?
Well, that was
I don't
with
think-
Trevorrow or
Yeah.
with the two guys. No, the two guys were doing solo movies.
Yeah,
so it was
it was
Trevorrow. Right?
Trevorrow, and it was because his last movie was a pile of shit.
Well, he made the mistake of going from Jurassic World to doing a passion project, which bombed, the Book of Henry, and then apparently on set he was a bit egomaniacal and just wanted it his way. But with Kathleen Kennedy, you can't play that. She's basically Vader. You can't fuck around. You have to, like you said, you have to color within those lines, right? You can't do your own thing on Star Wars. It's fucking Star Wars.
Yeah, which in that case,
There's
does
a
that
blueprint
not-
there.
I mean, there are hundreds of other directors you could pick, but since we're talking about J.J. Abrams, he's going to color in those lines with the best of them.
Right,
So at this point in
exactly.
our lives, at this point at
Okay,
our
good,
lives,
he's
at
not-
our Star Wars careers, fans, you have to take what is expected and know it's going to be good, or let them push the limits and maybe it'll fucking fail, like the episodes 1 through 3.
Exactly.
I think the best part about J.J. Abrams coming back for episode 9 is that he's going to finish what he started. No.
That's
no
funny.
one,
That's
nothing.
cheap,
No.
cheap. I still
No.
want.
So here's the. Well,
you know
here-
what I want though.
I
What
had
you
a
said-
real thing to say.
You're gonna like this. Come on, I'm filleting you right now. Tom Hardy, man. I want Tom Hardy. Oh, you dick. Fuck you. Tom
I have
Hardy.
the mixer.
I want Bane in Star Wars. That's what I want.
Why?
You know why?
Because you kind of can do the voice.
You agree with me. It's great.
I think
I'm not doing the
I
voice.
think Tom Hardy. You should do the voice.
You gotta do the voice. You gotta do
No.
the
I
voice.
can do it now.
No, I'm not doing the voice. I'm not doing it.
Does the hat give you the voice power? What do you?
Yeah, what just happened?
No, I can't do it.
Get him another beer.
No, it's too much pressure. I'll knock it
You know
out.
what?
When,
Tell you what, make a deal with you.
Move on. Move on. When you don't expect it, you'll get it.
All right,
He'll do it,
all right,
yeah.
that's fine.
Or
were you
You
gonna
touched-
offer
I
it?
wasn't gonna offer. I'm not gonna say shit. If he wants to move on, we're gonna move on. It's his podcast. I was gonna make an offer, but if he's not willing to, explore,
You're giving up
issue.
offers.
There's nothing you can offer me from Gray.
Okay.
So my thing, my thing with JJ was just that I don't, like we were saying with Kennedy, like I don't think he had the ability. I think, like you said, it's fan service. They played it safe. After, like, I loved the prequels, but for the most part, people didn't. So they had to come out after the prequels and say, and prove to everybody, look, we can make a Star Wars movie, and that's what they did. They had, like, I love Kylo Ren. I have, like, all the Funkos. I love the Blade. I like Adam Driver as an actor. I love the fact that, like, I read a quote online from a commenter, which is always a bad thing, and they were like, the director, like Ryan Johnson came out and said that Kylo won't quite be Vader in episode 8, but he's making the transition. And somebody commented on that post saying, there's no way Kylo's anything like Vader. He's more like Anakin. Like, did you read what you just said?
That's
So
you toe a very fine line with Star Wars fans. You get offended very easily.
No-
or
oh,
you
yeah.
want to teach,
But
you
I
know?
think that we're going to get the chance to see what JJ would really do with Star Wars with episode 9, because,
Yeah, I
he-
agree.
with unlimited money from Disney.
right, exactly. So I'm excited to see 8. I'm excited to see what happens, but I think that And I mean, it sucks that it got pushed back, but now it's going to be a Christmas movie as opposed to a spring movie,
Right.
which, I mean, you have to think they kind of had planned anyway.
Yeah.
Why would you
definitely did.
release it in the springtime?
All I really want to see is Luke's backstory and what he's done with all this time, and I'd really like to see him have been a gray Jedi. That's what I want.
What do you think his first words are going to be? That's a big debate.
Wow. That's a question.
I'm
man.
Yeah, that is.
That is a question that has not been covered. I have no idea.
I don't know.
Lay it on me.
I like Keith's.
He's either going to be like, dude, there's no food on this fucking island. I'm starving. Or he's going to be
Finally.
like, you're the first woman I've seen in so
No.
long.
No, he's a Jedi. He doesn't need that.
No,
What you're gonna get is
yeah,
what you're gonna get is a helicopter shot, right? And then it zooms in, and he's fucking roasting a pork.
No, there was a bit that that Mark Hamill did for one of the media companies where like people were pretending to do lines and like he would surprise them from behind, like as a fan service type thing.
Saw
And-
that.
Oh, did you? Yeah. So there was the one where the girl was pretending to be Rey, and she went to hand him the saber, and he was like, "There was a hand with that." that should be his first line.
Out of all the cast and crew from those movies and all the bad backstories from how much the actors hated the way they were treated in the film, I love that of all people, Mark Hamill was still like so into it and willing to just be friends with anybody who talks to him. It's wonderful.
I want him to be that enthused about the Guyver. I want the Guyver to come back.
I think part of that was because, I mean, Carrie Fisher was a young, attractive girl in Hollywood in the 70s and 80s, so she didn't need Star Wars to make it. Like, she would have had other opportunities.
Well, she was born into stardom anyway, given her parents.
Right. And Harrison Ford certainly didn't need it. I mean, he was already on his way. Like, he had Indiana Jones. He was on his way to becoming a star. Other than being Joker,
well-
other than being Joker in the 90s, what has Mark Hamill done other than Star Wars?
The Guyver.
Shut your mouth.
Huh?
You shut your whore mouth. Right? I actually, you know what? To be honest, I once stated that opinion to somebody who was a good friend of mine who I love talking Star Wars with, and that was actually his response to me. And he
Shut your
started
whore
burying
mouth.
me off the top of his head with all these credits that Mark Hamill had done. I mean, his voice stuff that he's done. I mean, you mentioned the Joker, but you can't just dismiss that by being like, I mean, he's done more in the Joker than anybody, than Nicholson, than Heath Ledger, than Jared Leto. He's done more Joker than anybody, and he's done it really, really well. It's just that he hasn't done it on a big screen. It's been in video games, it's been in cartoons, and he's done a ton of other stuff. I mean, the guy's he's not he's not going to end up with a huge plaque in the Acting Hall of Fame. I don't think there is one of those, so that didn't make any sense. But you get my drift.
They
But
are not
he's
going to
had-
build an acting Hall of Fame because of Mark Hamill.
That's a good point. But he does have a lot of credits, and he's been doing stuff. It's just not been on the biggest screens possible. And when you compare him to the other stars of Star Wars, it doesn't seem like much. But I have a ton of respect for that guy. And to
he's
hear him
ext-
talk too about, you mentioned the one where he was doing the, picking up on lines with fans and stuff. I saw him do an interview, and they asked him about what he thought when he first got the script for The Force Awakens. And, he's like, they sent me to like training to lose all this weight, to get ready for all this stuff. And I was working out and I was busting my ass and I couldn't wait for it. And I get the script and I sit down to read it and I'm looking through it and I'm waiting for my big entrance. And it's like, okay, page 10, I'm not there. I'm reading through. It's page 20. Man, this is a great story. 30, 35, 40. Where am I? I'm not even here yet. He goes, and I'm getting so annoyed. And then there's the part in the script where Kylo Ren and Rey are having their fight at the end, and Luke's lightsaber goes flying through the air, and he goes, holy shit, here it is. This is my moment. Luke's going to catch his own lightsaber and be like, it's my turn now, bitch, and just start shredding Kylo Ren up. And then, of course, she catches it. And he's like, this is bullshit. He goes, then finally I get to the last page, and I don't even have a line. He goes, now keep in mind, I just spent like 6 months in training to lose weight to get ready for this role, and all I have to do is this. Because I was furious at first.
But
It's a hilarious interview.
The payoff was so good. He did it so well. Removal of the hood.
Yeah.
Oscar, Mark Hamill.
Well, if you think about it, like, I mean, obviously, a lot of us wanted Luke. A lot of us wanted to have that. But what could he have said that wouldn't have been more iconic than nothing?
Nothing. Now you're gonna get a whole movie verse based around Luke. You needed that first movie to get rid of Han, right?
Right.
So that movie was Han's swan song.
Well, I think this movie's going to be
And-
Luke's swan song. I don't think he
Exactly.
survived.
Oh, well, I don't know. I think he makes it to 9.
Well,
They
no,
have to.
I don't.
He might not have originally. He
Right.
might not have made it originally, but now you've
Right.
lost Leia, right? So you have to write Leia out. So you need one of them to end the series.
Right, and they already said they're not going to kill her off because that was, at least according to what we've said, that was what their intention was that it was gonna, like, Leia was gonna have a strong showing in episode 8, and then she was gonna be the centerpiece of 9. So obviously with Carrie Fisher passing away, we're not going to get that. So again, like you said, I wonder if they're going to maybe go back and change some things that give Luke a presence in 9.
I think they'll just call up George Lucas and be like, "How did you green screen 3 movies? Because we need a fake Carrie Fisher stat, man."
Well,
Like, that's what
Well, they did Tarkin, right?
yeah, they
So
did
they'll just-
Tarkin and Carrie
right.
Fisher.
I know we've already
Yeah,
covered this
really
over and over and
long.
over
Yeah,
again,
that's
but
right. Yeah.
But I think they came out and said they wouldn't do that, and I think a lot
No,
of
they're
people,
not gonna.
yeah, a lot of people would be disappointed if they did. But I mean, I don't know. It's like, yeah, I would love to see if things do really change drastically. I would love to see what there was and then what there is. Like, I would love to see maybe what it could have been. I'm excited to see Snoke. I like that the Funko Pop revealed what he looks like, and that he's in like a yellow bathrobe. So that was interesting. But I'm excited to see him and get his origin. I hope we do get his origin. I hope he's just not a mysterious character.
Do you have a theory?
I do. I can tell you guys. A lot of the audience has heard it several times, but I can do like the Cliff Notes version.
no,
and-
just do the version.
okay. So
Whip out the thick dick of truth.
we're going all the way back to episode 1. So in episode 1, we get Anakin, right?
Wait.
So
I'm gonna take a nap.
all right. In episode 1,
We can talk about. Wait a minute. We can talk about music.
We can talk about video games. Well,
Yeah, 'cause
whatever.
I am
No.
no dog in this fight. I'm a filthy
It's
Star
true.
Wars casual.
I can
Okay.
I can actually feel Drew getting bored.
all right. I'll do the.
Let's hear the theory.
I'll do the quick theory, and then we can certainly talk about it post show or something like
Oh,
that.
by the way,
afterwards.
we have a band on the show tonight.
We
but
do,
this,
right?
This is all geeked up. It's fine.
Okay, so back to episode 1. Anakin's mother said that Anakin had no father. He just came out of nowhere. We then learn in episode 3, when Anakin's talking to Palpatine, that his master, which was Darth Plagueis, was able to create Force out of nothing by manipulating the midichlorians. So then we fast forward further, right? So we go through and we go further and further, whatever. So my assumption or my theory is that Snoke is Plagueis, because if you go into the extended canon or the extended story, whatever the hell they call it, which isn't canon, but they have been pulling from it, Plagueis was able to be immortal. He was able to manipulate the midichlorians and the Force to be able to have immortality and to raise from the dead. So my thought is that Plagueis is the original Skywalker and he's Anakin's father, which would make him Kylo's great-grandfather, which is why he is commanding him from such a high perch, which we're going to have, we'll have him on the ground in episode 8. But I think, and that really ties it all together as being the Star Wars saga, because from the very beginning, it was the Skywalker saga, because from the very beginning, it was a Skywalker that started it all.
Yeah, but there's only one huge hole in that whole theory.
Sure.
If you've read James Luceno's Darth Plagueis, it's very clear that Palpatine kills him.
Right, but Plagueis was able to resurrect himself and come back to life, and also that's not canon. That's also not canon anymore.
Not canon.
I was
but
gonna say they also cherry picked the shit out of those books.
Right.
They do, but even in episode must have been 3, when Palpatine is telling Anakin about, have you ever heard the story of Darth Plagueis the Wise? And he says, yeah, it is meme. But he says, and the only thing until he was killed, and he says it flat out right there. So I guess what you're saying is that Palpatine believes he killed Plagueis, but Plagueis was able to somehow after the fact resurrect himself.
Right.
Yeah, it only took 3 days.
It only took 3 days.
All right,
Christ.
all right.
Okay, we can go away from Star Wars.
I'm having people message me telling me I need to pet Django more, so I'm trying to give the fans what they want.
Yeah.
Your chat is phenomenal, by the way.
Yeah.
Well, thank
thanks,
you.
Chad, for hanging out,
Huge
dude.
props to everybody in chat.
Chat's great, man.
You guys are awesome.
Well, let the chat room take it away.
Right.
Fuck it. We don't need to be here.
Well, we will get into another topic. If chat room, if you guys have any questions that you would like answered on the show, as opposed to just within chat, by all means, speak up and ask them something. And then if you guys see a question, feel free to just shout out and answer it from.
I don't know if anybody's
Within
new
two.
to chat, but we are This World Has Bees. Find us on all the social media things if you're into music.
Do you guys permit? I mean, somebody was trying to post a link. If you guys will permit a link, I'll post a link to our Bandcamp and Facebook, so anybody in chat can hit that shit up.
If you want to put them in, well, you guys, I say if you want to put them in the Hangouts chat, then I can certainly put them up there.
Yep.
Yeah, yeah.
God damn it, Drew!
What? I just corrected him.
Not to mention that we've already had people in the chat room post your links.
Okay.
Yeah,
okay,
I think
cool.
the couple,
Thank you.
the
Well, then
couple people that
you
have
got
the
to
ability
figure
to.
Yeah, we were ahead of the game.
Right. Yeah, our chat room. There, a lot of them are like live interns. It's really cool.
It's very true. So
Oh,
what
they
have,
all-
what
they all
have you
seem like
guys?
pretty cool people.
Yeah, right.
Except for the Parasomniac, whoever the hell that
That's
is.
me.
Yeah, I know. I know. Asshole.
Have we? I don't think we've covered how you guys all met and how you guys initially formed the band.
Bathhouse.
It was
Yeah,
a
bathhouse.
German bathhouse.
It was in a bathhouse.
I thought it was Turkish.
Turkish. I don't know. I don't
A
speak
Turkish
English.
bathhouse. So 4 dudes getting sweaty. Hey, you like music?
Is that
Yeah.
like the treasure chest up? in
Dude, do you like
Waterford?
Post? Fuck yeah! All right, get
Yeah,
your
while
towel.
we're
We're
all,
going.
Like, doing the train or whatever. We're just like, hey, what kind of music are you into, man?
Do you like Post? I like
Actually,
Post.
I'm into post rock. Oh yeah, me too. That's really how it started.
Well, our original,
Dude, you're pretty tight, man. Dude, you like music? Yeah.
we
I'm also a tight musician, actually.
Okay.
So I'll leave the tail and interject as needed.
Yep.
Actually, the tail is better woven by
Yeah,
Bill.
Bill
Because Bill is
Bill's
like the only
oldest one.
original member.
I am the only original.
Yeah.
Bill,
you
Bill's
are.
OG.
Yeah.
Really? I didn't know that.
Yeah, it started with me and the other guitarist that is no longer with us.
He's not dead.
No, because he's dead. Because
Bill
We
killed
killed
him.
him and ate him.
I ate him and stole his powers.
yeah, that was the original.
Well, you were just like a two-piece like for a few months, weren't you? And
Yeah,
then-
we were just trying to make sound, and it wasn't, it was just the two of us until this guy showed up. And
There was this guy that
joined us.
there was this guy I was jamming with in Arundel. We were making shoegaze music, and it was like a long drive for me, so we didn't get to meet up very much. And he
Everything
sent
you
me
just
this
said sounds
Craigslist
sexual to me.
ad, and he's just like, I think you'll be into this. And I look at the Craigslist ad, and they're like, we're making a post-hardcore band. We need somebody who's into Sigur Rós and Brand New and Thrice. And I'm just like, I don't know if I want to do this. And then I just did it for the fuck of it. And I don't know, like a few months later, we were making post-rock, even though that was not what these guys were trying to make originally. Just somehow it happened. And then we got this guy like 3 months after the fact.
Well, wait a minute. So what? At the same time that was happening, Brandon and I met randomly, not in a Turkish bathhouse, just to be clear, but through a musician's, connection thing, because we were both had posted in our profiles that we were into post-rock music, like Explosions in the Sky and This Will Destroy You. And so we got together and we're just talking about like how cool it would be to make a bunch of post-rock music. And we got together a couple times and just, played a little bit, wrote a little bit. And then, but it was just two dudes with guitars. And that kind of went away. And then the next time I heard from Brandon, it was like 6 months later, and he was playing in this other post-rock band, and they were looking for another guitarist to replace the guitarist that was leaving. And I said, well, yeah, that's something I'd love to do. So that's how all that came together.
We actually scalped him from another guy who tried out, and that was great and super awkward. And yeah,
In the best of ways.
yeah, it was weird.
It happens. Sometimes it's who you know that knows somebody else.
Hey, well,
Yeah.
the best things are founded on awkward interactions.
Right. I mean,
Sometimes.
I've definitely replaced raid team members with their roommates because their roommates had higher DPS. So
Sure.
I mean,
Sure. Got to have that higher DPS. Got to.
I don't think anyone there knew what I meant.
No, I got you.
Okay.
We're good. I was OG WoW up until Mist of Pandaria.
Nice. Didn't like the
And then,
panda bears, huh?
Oh, I just decided to lose all the weight I had gained from eating.
Yeah, no, it'll do that. Yeah, no, my MMO career started in '95, so I definitely get that.
EverQuest?
Ultima Online from 95 to 99, EverQuest from 99 to 04, and then World of Warcraft with like Dark Age of Camelot and Asheron's Call sprinkled in there somewhere as well. But those were my three primaries.
You know,
Yeah,
like
I
you
got
do.
to play Asheron's Call. I played the first EverQuest for a little while. I was super fucking young at the time. And
Yeah.
then I moved on to like the really weird indie third-party MMOs like Conquer Online. I never actually like played WoW for an extended period of time, and I'm
Right.
actually pretty happy about that because it probably would have like took my soul.
You can get lost in it. That's for sure.
Yeah,
So-
not only do you have to pay, I mean, you pay them for them to steal your life. It's like $15 a month to siphon away your essence.
That is
I was in high
true.
school and I was just like, I'm not fucking paying anybody to play a fucking game. I can get it for free elsewhere. So I just played the dopey shit.
Yeah.
Right, like Runes of Magic.
Oh,
The
God.
someone knows what I'm talking about. The pay
That
to
sounds
That's
familiar.
embarrassing.
Wait, you say
Right.
Rune? I thought you were about to say RuneScape. And
Oh,
I was
yeah.
like, I know people that still play that game.
Oh, people do. It's crazy. And EVE Online. There's those other ones that are like in the shadows have stood the test of time. It's pretty crazy.
Yeah.
I always love reading about Eve because of because it's a living, breathing economy.
It is.
And
Yeah.
every now and then you'll hear like stories which peek out of the depths of the internet. That's like somebody ruined Eve's economy and now nothing's worth anything. And people people spend real money in that game.
Oh
Like,
yeah. People can lose hundreds, if not thousands of dollars. Like if their entire fleet goes down, they're out. Oh yeah. Yeah. If you get
I remember the biggest one was the raid where I don't know a lot about Eve, so if you're a big Eve fan, I apologize for butchering it.
I
But-
just called my friend who is really into Eve to get into the chat and correct us.
Okay.
So.
Well, if that's the case. Like,
Help is
Anyway,
on the way.
continue what you were saying.
I don't remember if it was like a faction war or like a trade war, because I know there's two big guilds that kind of control the whole economy,
right.
and one had. There's always spies and stuff, which is why Eve is so great. It's real life. Like somebody actually even
Yeah.
the other guild to figure out their stuff. So they totally ruined their economy by just gouging the price of something. And then they actually went to war and warped in a bunch of ships and destroyed the entire other guild. And it was a massive blow to the Eve community online because they controlled the entire economy. So there was nobody to trade with, there was no routes to do, and everything was unprotected. And I just thought that was the neatest story, that it actually managed to affect people in the strangest way.
See, if they could make a game that was that in depth, but that was like medieval fantasy based, I would love it. But I don't do sci-fi.
Yeah.
Star-
Not only
Except
that,
Star Wars,
Except Star Wars, because
which is kind of fantasy.
Star Wars is a fantasy story in space. You have space wizards and laser swords.
See, I don't know, man. I kind of follow pop culture trends. I mean, when fantasy is culpable, I'm fantasy. When Star Wars is out, I'm sci-fi. Or The Expanse. Do you watch The Expanse?
I have not watched The Expanse.
Oh, you got to watch The Expanse. It's great.
All right.
I read a lot of sci-fi, but a lot of the TV and movies that are considered sci-fi that come out, I can't tolerate.
Such as?
The 100.
Nope.
That was a piece of shit.
Nope. Have you seen The Expanse?
No, that's on. Is that a Netflix show?
It's on
or-
sci-fi, but it's so
It's on Siffy.
it's so scientifically accurate. It's a great show. I recommend it.
The exceptions to that are I love the 2004 Battlestar Galactica.
Mm-hmm.
I absolutely binged the shit out of that series. It was awesome.
What's your deal?
And,
what about Battlefield
there's
Earth?
a couple movies here and there that are really good.
Battlefield Earth was good.
No.
No.
I never really could get into sci-fi that much, but I'm really into cyberpunk, which is weird because the two are similar.
Right.
No barking.
All the
Outside?
barking.
Calm yourself, Pugtato.
The dog like cyberpunk.
Potato's upset.
So I know you guys have to record tomorrow. So do you want to start to wrap up? Is there anything else that anyone would like to ask? I mean, you guys are recording tomorrow, right? So what are you headed toward?
Yeah, but we have plenty of time. Like,
Yeah?
we
Okay.
solid like 12 hours until we need to do that.
Fine. I mean, our longest show is clocked in at just over 5 hours, right? So I
Yeah.
think we have a lot of time to go.
Yeah, we got plenty of time. It just if it's not discussed in the beginning front, then we don't like to impose, because I know sometimes as guests, like, you don't want to be like, well, we gotta go. So
I have
by
to
all
reference
means,
the
we'll
chat
give you all
room.
the time you want.
So I had mentioned JF on Facebook earlier about how when people share things, JF is always the one to be the detractor and correct everybody for the things that they share. So he's correcting me. He's correcting me when it comes to the Expanse right now, and he's totally correct. He is. And I'm not shitting on JF. I just appreciate it every time.
I was gonna say, if you like sci-fi and you like reading sci-fi, may I suggest The Life Engineered by J.F. Dubois?
Touche.
Who is he's in the chat room there, J.F. Dubois. He's a good friend of ours, and he's an amazing author. And then also Pilot X by Tom Merritt, who's another podcaster and author, and he's actually going to be a guest on this show in October. But yeah, so check out JF and check out Tom Merritt. They're both great authors, and they both have 2 good science fiction books.
Yeah.
I think I missed something in chat. We're talking about Grindr. What's happening?
They asked if we had a grinder, and I said I don't, but you can you just hit me up. You know what I mean?
So
that's the next social media trend. Like, you're gonna get bands on Tinder, swipe right to listen.
No, so I was in a band in Seattle, and shout out to Max if he's listening. He had a Tinder account that he had the band that he advertised the band on.
No, but how awesome would that be? So let's like you
to
were
be on Grindr.
No, yeah, to be on Grindr. You know, but take what you said. I know you were saying it like kind of half in jest, but like take that. Like, what if there was an app that indie bands could submit like their single to, right? And it worked like a Tinder, right? So you go in and there's a band and you get the band description, and there's like maybe like a 10-second clip or a 30-second clip or however long the song is itself, and you can swipe left or swipe right. Like, it's a dating app for the band. Like, because I mean, if you break it down,
yeah. Bandcamp is kind of like
that,
Bandcamp
is like pretty similar to that, but you don't get like, I don't know if there's like a random roulette feature.
It's also not condensed enough. I mean, it's such a actual web player. Like, go listen to a full song, do some stuff. It's not so digestible as something like Tinder, where it's one screen to get all your information.
And it's not searchable. Like, I try to go to Bandcamp and search for main bands that are doing certain types of music, and it's fucking impossible. It for some reason, it's not able to process geographic search with another search term.
right?
And that Jesus Christ, you figure at this point somebody could design the website to give the listener what they're looking for, even if it means you're looking for more than one search term.
Right.
But for some reason, it just can't process that. It's frustrating as hell.
Actually,
But-
somebody
just said Pandora.
in chat made a good point.
But you have very little control over what you end up hearing in Pandora.
Well, also as smaller bands with you know, when you're paying your costs out of your pocket, like if you're a small independent band, it's also difficult to get on things like that. I mean, something where it would be as simple as, I mean, look for example, look what we do with podcasting, which was it's essentially the modern talk radio, right? So it used to be back in the day, you had to know a producer for a radio station or a TV channel, and then you started in the wee hours of the morning and you had to work your way up. Now, any schmucks with equipment can get online. I mean, look at us.
Hi.
So, it would be cool to have that where you can go in and you could have that with a band. It's a simple app. You create a free account and you upload your song, and people can search region. You can put other bands that you're like, and they can connect styles. I think that would be really cool for small local independent artists to get noticed.
Yeah, it would also be nice if, especially with the state that we live in, for anybody not familiar with Maine, it is tourism driven. So if you're a local band but you're not playing top 40, good luck playing anywhere.
Yeah, if you're not a cover band, just get fucked.
Yeah,
basically.
especially in the summer. Getting shows in the summer in Maine for a large audience is really difficult if you're an original band.
Yeah, for someone who likes covers and country pop, you must fucking love this state. But quite frankly, for a band like ours,
our first show was in Massachusetts because we couldn't get a show in Maine because it was summertime.
Yeah.
It's a tough scene, man. It's a tough scene.
So basically, in Maine, you have to be the awesome, apparently.
Yeah, I mean, I remember for a while, in the 90s and the aughts, it was a decent scene for local music, from what I understand. You had your Jeremiah Freed, you had Head Start. There were a lot of bands that had different sounds that kind of found their way, and CYY did a lot with that. But now, no, I mean, a lot of your big powerhouses, we're friends with the guys in Signal to Noise. I don't know if you've heard of them.
I work with the old drummer from Signal to Noise.
With Austin?
I do work with
You
Austin.
work with Austin,
nice.
really?
He's a good friend of ours.
No shit.
Yeah, I work with Austin and I. Yeah, I see Austin every day actually.
Wow.
Nice. Doing it's like the is it the fire inspection? Is that still what he does?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Nice. Very cool.
I still
Small
want in
world.
on that job, man.
Dude, we're hiring. We could use you tomorrow.
Yeah, no, Austin's a
Good. I'm in.
Austin's a good friend of ours. He's been on several of our podcasts several times.
Yeah.
No joke.
So,
yeah.
yeah.
I like Austin. We actually started at the same time. We've been at the company probably like a week or two.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, see, actually, even in the chat room, you work with Austin. People in the chat room know who he is.
Yeah, that's fucked
Yeah,
up.
I work with Austin. So. Yeah, I think Second Illinois. I don't know if their album out. I know I got to listen to a rough draft of it, but I don't know if it's actually
the newest one, The Horns High. Yeah, it came out a couple months ago.
okay.
Yeah. But
He had a demo at work, and we jammed it on the way to a job, but I hadn't heard anything else besides that.
right. Yeah, I haven't listened to the new one too much. There's a lot of stuff in the background that being friends with Austin, and also like his dad's my tattoo artist. So
You go
he-
see you
I
really?
go to Coop. Yeah, he's done the vast majority of my work.
Yeah,
This
I
is a
know.
fucking really small
Yeah,
state.
it really is.
Yeah, you want to alienate your audience? Hey guys, go on down to see Koopa. Yeah,
So
that's they're good people though. Austin's a good kid, man. I like
yeah,
him.
yeah, we did just kind of shrink the state a whole bunch, didn't
Right?
we?
Well, I mean, like north of Augusta, there's really nothing anyway. So
Uh oh.
No, it's just my homeland. It's fine. It's fine.
his too.
He's from the county.
Yeah.
Wait, are you? Well, you know what? Fuck it. Let's continue the tangent. Are you from down east?
No,
Right?
Bill. No, I'm from northern Maine. I'm from Presque Isle.
Oh Jesus.
Oh damn.
I'm not from like mid coast like Bill. No.
How long did it take you to learn to speak English?
I still can't. English? What is that? I'm not sure.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, you go up to certain parts of Maine and they'll speak like half French, like half Canadian French, half English in the same sentence, and it's just so weird.
Yeah, that's about where I'm from. I know people from Fort Kent that didn't speak English until they were in school.
That's insanity.
Jesus.
I
That's
know.
insanity.
Well, I mean, where I'm from, Lewiston used to have a big French community, but they've all died out. Like it's all old people now that speak French to each other.
Fucking French. Kill them. Kill them.
Basically.
Speaking of that, have you guys tried to play in northern Maine? I recommend Eureka in Stockholm. You should try to play there. It's an excellent place.
We played in Peru. I don't. That
played in
clearly
Peru.
doesn't count.
Oh,
as
no,
northern
that's
Maine.
like-
Western Maine.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's
We-
like right outside of Rumford.
Well,
Yeah,
okay,
I
I
remember that. I was supposed to go to that and did not.
I know Bangor is not northern Maine, but for
No.
a lot of Mainers, that's the end of civilization.
As I say, yeah, it is like to me, Bangor is north.
Bangor
But,
might as
like-
well be like Winterfell, and then everything else is north of the wall.
Yeah, it's north of the wall.
Yeah,
Yeah,
okay, yeah, no, excuse me. Everything north of Bangor doesn't exist.
yeah. See, because I've never stayed in the northern part for a while. I stopped in Presque Isle once when I was a little kid because I am part Native American, Micmac tribe, but our band is in Canada. So like the tribal band, so we would go up through northern Maine and stop and then go to like New Brunswick and Red Bank and stuff like that. But the main branch of the tribe is in Presque Isle. So there's a tribal band up there too. So I was up there when I was a kid, but yeah, man, it's like woods and no speed limits.
No speed limits is true.
I spent 3 days in Calais for work, and I just wanted to kill myself. There was nothing to do there. They had one small theater, and they had a Walmart, and they had a bunch of old people. It was
In Calais.
Calais, yeah.
Calais.
Calais sucks, man.
Calais. Is that how the French say
That-
it?
That's
yeah.
how the French say it.
I
Going back to Cali.
actually
Cali. Cali.
I stayed a weekend up there. Actually, now that you mention it,
Like when
Mm.
I started driving through uncharted territories, there were just like numbers.
Yeah,
And,
T2
like,
T2R9.
There's random like broken down vehicles and like these shacks for houses. I was like, okay, I don't know about this.
isn't there a law? Like I forget what county it's in, but one of those counties. Now this might be stereotype. This might be true. You'll have to tell me. But isn't there?
Oh, they fuck their cousins
is,
up there.
well, no,
It's
but
fine.
isn't there a law that states how
I
many?
mean, we do here too, but I mean that's besides the point.
Isn't there
Only
a
if they're hot.
isn't isn't there a law that states how many broken down cars you're legally allowed to have on your property before you have too many?
I think that's a Foxworthy bit, isn't it? You might be a redneck if.
No. I think maybe it was
You
a
think
Marley.
that's legit?
I think it was
I
a
don't know,
Marley
man.
bit, but I didn't know
Oh,
if there was any
maybe.
truth to it or
Maybe.
not.
Actually a thing.
Huh?
Because, but some point, you're running a junkyard. You're not, You gotta have be a licensed.
You have to
junkyard.
you have to rezone your property.
At some point, you need a
Yeah,
permit.
Exactly.
Yeah. No, that works. I like that. Man, have we tangented or what?
Yeah, this show
don't know
goes
where
off the
the fuck we
rails
are
every
right
time.
Yeah, we can't have mine anymore.
My
I
cousin
love-
just like messaged me and he says that like his brother-in-law's brother gets in trouble for having too many broken down cars on his property all the time.
There we go.
He has to
Touche.
hide them out back of his house.
You kind of need a long house to hide cars,
You
right?
might-
Trailer.
Trailer, yeah, exactly.
Hashtag rural Maine problems.
Right, yeah.
I got a quad wide, and it's two double wides and duct tape them together.
Okay. So I know somebody who works in insurance, and you can only have five junked cars on your property. If you have more than that, you have to be a licensed junkyard.
So there is an actual law. I
There you
love
go.
it. That's great.
There you go. Getting attacked by the friendliest country on earth would certainly send a message. I'm really sorry about this, but
I love the fact earlier in the chat, I think it was Amy, and then there was, I don't know if anyone else chimed in, but it was like, right here is 25% of the Maine population. And she was like, yeah, and they're all, she's like,
that's
yeah, and
hilarious.
they're all related.
They're all related.
I will say, no, Keith isn't as well. I'm a transplant. I'm not from Maine originally, and Keith is also not from Maine.
Yeah.
We just live here and suck up all your oxygen. And you're from Connecticut?
I was born in Connecticut. Yeah, I was
Yeah.
born in Connecticut. I lived in Florida for like a decade or so too before
Nice.
making my way up here.
I'm from the southwest originally. I was born and raised in Texas and went to college in New Mexico.
so you're very cold.
And yes,
So what,
Um,
so what brought you guys to Maine?
I married a Mainer, and they only want to live here. So we, after a few years in New Mexico, she was like, I don't like it here. Let's move to Maine. And I was like, never been. Let's do it. So here we are.
Somebody just asked, is Maine like the South of the North? And yes, 100%. You see Confederate flags up here. There's a
Mhm.
lot of racist shit going on up here.
Do you
It's
not-
definitely the South of the North.
Do you not disagree that the further north you go in Maine, the more southern the accent gets? There's a lot of
Yeah,
there's
isn't
a lot of
that
drawl.
weird? That's
so
true.
true.
There's a
Yeah.
lot of drawl where I'm from. The words get really drawn out.
Yeah.
Even when they're speaking French, too. It's so weird.
Hmm.
It's almost like when you just, like, it's not so much south, but it's like you pull people away from the center, and as you pull them away from the center, they start to get. But I guess the center of the country is also really kind of screwed up.
You think
It's all like flat and midwestern crap.
the
Tell you
Bible
what, we
Belt?
cut this conversation real fucking short. I think the whole country's a bit screwed up right now. Let's just leave it at that.
Just a little.
We have a podcast for that.
We do. That's like we're like the Apple now. It's like we have an app for that. We have a podcast for that.
We do. It's true.
Annalisa in the chat was saying, "Wait, Texas? What?" She currently lives in Texas.
Oh, nice. Where are you at? What? I was from the hill country, Austin area for a long time.
We'll give her a chance to answer. I don't remember. I think I
knew
at one point. She's cool. She's one of our regular listeners.
Nice.
Nice.
She's from Dallas. She's from Austin. She lives in Dallas now.
Oh, cool. Yeah, I was actually maybe a little too from it. Don't go steal my social security number, but I was born in Denton, which is right outside of Dallas. So that's
Denton
pretty cool.
County.
Yep.
That's where one of my favorite bands from the early aughts came from. Bowling for Soup.
Bowling for Soup is from Denton. I've seen
Yeah.
them many a time for completely free. For
I-
like no.
I drove from Portland to Orono in a blizzard to see them and American Hi-Fi play at the college auditorium.
At UMO?
Yeah.
At like
I've
Alphon?
only seen one show at that auditorium, and it was brand new opening for Dashboard Confessional. I think it was like 2006 or 2007.
Sounds about right.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
the lead singer of Brand New was drunk and was fucking up the lyrics, and fucking Dashboard Confessional put on a better show than them. I was like, my mind was blown. I was so sad.
I mean, they must have more than one song people care about, right? Like when you say Dashboard Confessional, like it's instantly like Vindicated from the Spider-Man soundtrack.
Vindicated. Yeah,
I'm
there's
gonna
that.
I'm gonna go ahead and come out right now. I'm a Dashboard Confessional fan, and you don't like that.
No, 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 I have-
okay,
I
so
don't give a fuck.
I really loved Further Seems Forever. The Moon is Down is one of my favorite albums, but like his solo stuff, it just wasn't as good for me. I still like some of it, but Further Seems Forever was way better in my opinion.
Okay.
Have you heard them? Further
Yeah,
Seems Forever?
my favorite albums of a lot of the stuff that's like solo guitar, acoustic guitar stuff,
Mhm.
I really liked. And then when I heard some of the later albums where he was doing full band, I really got nervous. But the more I listened to it, I really I can't remember the name of any of these friggin' albums right now. Under the Poison Tree or something like that, or from
that was one of the later ones.
That was one of the later ones I really liked.
No, that one was good. No, I agree.
And then the early ones. I mean, Swiss Army Romance.
Yes, there's some gems off.
I mean,
that.
those are fucking great albums. And I still, I mean, I don't do it when there's other people around, but I still listen to them.
Well, I mean, it takes a lot for me to really like a singer-songwriter where it's just him and an acoustic guitar, because there's like so many people doing that. I feel like you have to add like something more to the music to get me hooked. That's just me personally.
Dashboard Confessional sucks.
Over this. You like Bright Eyes too? You probably like Bright Eyes too.
Brandon got it. Brandon heard it.
It's Maine.
Oh my God.
You guys were busy talking about Dashboard Confessional.
Damn it!
Yeah. Oh yeah. We're talking on a podcast and fucked up. We can hear the Bane voice.
So I must be like an anachronism or something, because that's so far outside of my realm. All of the shit that you're talking about. Dashboard Confessional.
What's your favorite band or group or whatever you want to call it?
That's a hard question, man. I don't think I have a favorite. I don't think I have a go-to. There's a lot that I listen to. Nick Cave, John Prine.
No, Nick Cave and the Bad Seeds was good shit.
Yeah, that would be one of my favorites. So I don't know what this Dashboard Confessional is, but it sounds too mainstream for me.
It's very mainstream.
If you were not a sad little boy,
around
the early aughts,
or a teenage girl,
I mean, I wouldn't put them quite as bad as some of the other stuff, but I mean, if you were to ask me to say,
are they like Saves the Day or something?
I don't even know if I'd go that heavy. No, if
that heavy. Okay.
If you were to ask me like what bands, like if you were to try and do like a band comparison to Dashboard, like I would come up with things like Simple Plan.
No idea.
Like early Fall Out Boy before they got heavier.
Never listened to Fall Out Boy.
Yeah.
You're not missing much.
Yeah.
No, that's why I don't listen to Fall Out Boy.
And see, that's where like he's like the unabashful Dashboard fan. Like I'm an unabashful Fall Out Boy fan. Like I loved their new album. They suck absolute donkey balls live. Like don't waste your money.
That's what I've heard. Yeah.
But when it comes to being an album band, I mean they're enjoyable. Them and like all that emo pop punk, like Newfound Glory, I loved for a while.
No, I still love Newfound Glory.
I haven't heard them since they kind of. I mean, that was one of those things where like Newfound Glory. Same with Bowling for Soup and anything where like they intentionally kind of induced that adolescent whine in their voice. Like I assume like once you get into your 40s and 50s, that becomes difficult to do.
Yeah, so it definitely is a lot harder to digest. I feel like I don't know what it is about Newfound Glory that like I kind of like overlook that.
Right.
And I don't with other pop punk bands, but
well, that was me with Incubus. I've always been a massive. One of the reasons I wanted to be an effects-heavy guitar player was because of Michael Eisinger from Incubus.
And he's damn good. Yeah,
good at effect-driven music, and they were just my favorite band from like a preteen all the way to being a teenager. I go back and listen to them now, and I'm like, holy crap, Brandon Boyd's kind of got a whiny voice.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah. But I like the inspiration there because it was Brandon Boyd and seeing the music video for Drive that made me want to gauge out my ears, and that was where my ear gauging started.
I think he inadvertently made everybody want to gauge their ears.
Yeah,
that's very true.
Yet again, that's another band that was lost on me.
Incubus, yeah.
My girlfriend in high school loved that band, and I just didn't.
Yeah.
Just no.
Incubus.
I had a hard time getting into them, but they're guitarists. Like I could listen to them. Like if I could just get instrumental tracks of Incubus songs, I think I'd like them a lot more.
The original bass player was
Dirk
Lance.
Dirk Lance, man.
Fucking amazing.
But they got Ben Kinney now, and he's great from the Roots.
Are they still around?
Yeah, they're still.
Oh yeah,
they're still
Incubus is. Well, I guess kind of. They don't really die out anymore. They just kind of do their own thing.
Actually, and I don't know. If you're not a Soundgarden fan, I guess don't do it. But when Chris Cornell had killed himself earlier in the year, you can go on YouTube and find an Incubus tribute, and they did Black Hole Sun, and they absolutely murder it. It's like almost identical to the actual Soundgarden song. Yeah.
That's really cool. I mean, that's one thing with the band. And we talked about it a lot last week because our guest last week does a cover podcast. But how do you guys, and we can go individually on this in whatever order you guys want to talk, but how do you guys feel about covers in compared to the original tracks? Like, does it depend song for song? Like, how do you guys feel?
Is Disturbed doing it? Then I feel poorly about it.
Okay, so I have two different ways of looking at this. So when it comes to like covering a song, like I personally don't like to cover songs. And as far as listening to covers, I don't like when bands do just like a carbon copy cover of another song. I like when bands take a song and recreate it as their own, like Johnny Cash recreating Nine Inch Nails' "Hurt." That's a good cover.
Yeah.
Anything that sounds like the original song, hard to get into it.
At the same time, though, I can't fucking stand another song from this postmodern jukebox bullshit, and I can't fucking stand another bluegrass cover of like a rock song.
I'm with you with that.
I'm done with those. Like, that's so played out and stupid.
Now, the bluegrass rock covers are fucking dumb.
Yeah, those.
But if you can reinvent a song and covering it, that I'm okay with.
Yeah, see, I really like postmodern jukebox. Like, actually, you had talked about Black Hole Sun. Haley Reinhart and Postmodern Jukebox do an awesome cover of Black Hole Sun. I like their cover of My Heart Will Go On. So I'm a big postmodern fan, and I got into that because a lot of the community that I'm in are big postmodern fans. So it was just kind of something that grew on me, and I like covers. I mean, that's kind of with me.
There's a good question in chat.
Yeah, I was just going to reference that.
Sound like the album they play live.
That is a good question.
I think that entirely depends on the band, because this is a really polarizing topic for a lot of musicians. When you go into the studio and you record something, you want it to sound the best, so you add layers and you add things that not necessarily every band, especially indie newer bands, can recreate in a live setting just due to the cost and the time. And so if there's like let's just take top 40 bands. If I go see a top 40 band, do I want them to, like, I'm going to go see Paramore next month? They better fucking sound like the album. That's just my opinion.
Right.
Now, if I go see another band that's like really indie and out there, I don't give a shit. Do a 10-minute tangent in your song. That's awesome. But if I'm paying, $100 a fucking head, sound like your album. Yeah. Like that's how I feel about it.
Yeah, there's some bands where you definitely do expect it, and there's other bands where if they do, you're going to be really upset. There's some bands that the whole point of going is that they're going to play something unlike their. I mean, I don't know if I know some of you guys are not Fish fans, but the whole point of going to a Fish show, one of the points of going to a Fish show, is to hear them play it unlike they've ever played it before, even though they've been a band for like 25 years.
Yeah.
Well, like Tool. A lot of people went to go see Tool, and they were in Bangor, and they said they kind of, Billy, you were saying they did longer versions of some songs.
Yeah,
that was great.
At least half the songs they added.
Did they? Because I've seen Tool 5 times when Lateralis came out. I saw them 5 times, and it was the same set every time.
This was not.
Even in the quote unquote jam session that they have, right, where they do the interlude and it goes on and on and on. Same fucking thing every time.
They like reinvented the wheel this time.
Really?
It was the best I've ever seen them.
Did Maynard play on like a rotating part of the stage with a wig?
Oh, he was just doing his stupid gimmicks as usual. But,
right.
No, he was in the background. You couldn't even see him.
Wasn't he in riot gear?
Isn't he like behind a curtain?
He was in riot gear for, I think, all of
I think he came out in riot gear and ranted about politics. I read that.
That sounds about right.
Yeah, that's in line with the current climate of the world, right?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Like, that was kind of what ended up. I mean, I'm guessing Bill isn't a Disturbed fan, but that was kind of what turned me off from Disturbed.
Not, but especially the cover.
Yeah. See, I think of the modern bands, I think they do like their cover of Sound of Silence, their cover of Land of Confusion. Their Shout cover was way too overplayed and annoying as fuck.
Bill is physically disgusted.
Yeah, he is apparently.
The Sound of Silence cover. Just hearing that anybody enjoyed that.
I'm sorry. I'm inclined. To agree. That being said, when I was a preteen and younger teenager, Disturbed was my shit.
Oh yeah, for sure.
I've been there and I have binged listened to Disturbed, but holy fuck, did you ruin a great song?
Like that was.
I will say that I hated the Shout cover because I really like Tears for Fears a lot, and they butchered that song.
Right. Yeah, I didn't like that cover, but no, that was the thing. So like before Avenged became my thing, when they released Sounding the Seventh Trumpet in like 01, 02 area, like in 99. That year you had the release of the self-titled Godsmack, as well as I think 2000 proper was The Sickness by Disturbed, and that was kind of those were my two kind of leviathans for that beginning of the high school career, because I was a freshman in 99. And that was kind of what started that was Disturbed and Godsmack. And those were like the big concerts every summer at the Civic Center. But again, and actually I thought of Disturbed a little bit when you had talked about how when you were writing a guitar track, it's almost like, or a vocal track, it's like that goes hand in hand with the guitar. Like you can write a guitar as a vocal, because that's one of the comparisons that I hear a lot with Disturbed is like he basically just follows the exact guitar rhythm with his vocals. And I know there's a term for that. Actually, Austin told me the term for that, and
Syncopation?
Doesn't
very
ring
syncopated, like everything is hitting on the same.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, and he said that's exactly what he hates about them.
Yeah, there's no variation. If there's the opening guitar riff, you can guarantee that's 4 minutes of that from every instrument.
Right.
You know what I mean? Yeah,
right.
So if you're not into that, it's definitely a little annoying. It's a little mechanical. And I think that's their point. They're trying to get real machine sounding. They're trying to be like Fear Factory but radio.
And we've talked about this in certain, genres too. Like the expectation is, okay, you're gonna have 2 minutes and you're gonna have a breakdown, and your breakdown needs to be this technical or that technical. Otherwise, Drew was talking about this as it relates to grindcore, and that's the kind of shit that personally being in a post rock band, I'm so happy to be away from, because we can do whatever the fuck we want. Yeah. And we can have a part that we have one song where the whole song is just building crescendos and building energy and building volume, and then it enters into another part that starts low and builds and builds and builds volume and reaches up to a climax. And that type of songwriting is really powerful, but it just doesn't fit anywhere else.
Yeah, you're not going to hear that on the radio. People will be like, "Am I listening to the adult easy listening station? What is this?"
Yeah, I know. That's basically why I like to play post music, because literally your margin of like space where you can like do things in sonically is like the most open, if that makes sense. Like you have the most options and more places you can go in post music than you can in any other genre, in my opinion. So if we sit down and we want to get really sludgy and doomy, we can. If we want to get really pretty and ambient, we can, and it all fits.
So when it comes to, so you mentioned the range, right? So when it comes to that, I got an echo all of a sudden for some reason. Did something change?
We have more dogs.
A dog just appeared. That could be.
No, that shouldn't. It went away. I think Hangouts was just having a hiccup. So when it comes, so you have that. So it's that one song that's recorded up on Bandcamp right now, right?
Yeah.
So do you guys must have others that you kind of play in jam sessions, or others that you kind of have in mind that you're piecing together currently? So when it comes to the range, like you said, you really can do anything, because you have the genre that you're under, which basically opens all the doors for you. So you don't have a template or any rules that you have to kind of sit in. Do you have like different directions that you want to see different songs go? Like I assume your goal is to make every song have its own personality and not be like you're like if we had like let's say once you get some more songs under your belt, if we had like 4 different people listen to 4 different songs, they'd all would think it was a different band. Like is that kind of the direction where you're like you want to have a very vast sound? Or
try specifically for anything.
Yeah,
it just kind of is what it is.
I think the way you put it is correct, though I've never thought that or said it out loud.
I mean, like it's like if you're familiar with the Cure's discography, every CD is very different in the way that they approach the genre. And I think that's just a product of Robert Smith just being like, I want to fucking play this today. I want to fucking play this today. And I kind of feel the same way when I try to write music. So
yeah, I think like there's certain places where we won't go, and I think that tends to get to like our songs aren't going to transcend or devolve into like death metal territory. I'm not against it, but I feel like I feel like we don't ever strive to push it to either extreme.
Right.
Yeah.
If any extreme we go to would be softer, as a matter of fact. Like
we get like kind of like grossly dark sometimes, but it's not going to sound like your death metal or anything like that.
Yeah, it's not going to be like Mayhem or
Acacia Strain or Kill like Whitney Dead or anything like that.
Talk about the range of their songs and covering different.
Bill, you've changed.
Yep.
Bill is now
Bill's
a
been
Belgian
replaced.
Shepherd.
We fired him, and Bubba's gonna play drums.
You were gone longer than you expected. You went into a portal.
Fucking dog has some rhythm, huh?
It's like a Rick and Morty episode.
This is exactly like a Rick and Morty
Oh, man.
episode.
So that newest.
Doc Bill.
I'm Doggy Drummer.
Have you seen the newest episode of Rick and Morty, the one that was out last week?
No, and I hate to say this. I know we're on a podcast, but please don't spoil it because I've been
No,
wanting
I
to
won't.
watch it.
It's-
and I
dude,
haven't
it's-
tried.
Yeah, like so.
It's the
I
best one of the
binge-watched,
season so
like,
far.
The previous seasons, I've watched nothing from this new season. I'm such a horrible Rick and Morty fan, but I need to find time to do it. I just haven't had it lately.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's worth the watch. But the newest episode is by far the best of the season, I think.
I'm on the Rick and Morty subreddit, which can be quite obnoxious, but overall it's pretty good. And yeah, everybody was saying that Justin Roiland deserves an Emmy because he voice acted the whole thing front to back, just him. And I was like, oh, I gotta hear that. That's awesome.
Right.
So,
Yeah, it was great. I won't say anything.
yeah, we can talk about literally any other episode, but I just haven't seen the new stuff.
So yeah, I didn't mean to throw you off.
That's fine.
Go ahead.
I
Where
was
were
just
you?
gonna let you take the reins a bit. We were kind of at the climax of that discussion.
Oh, I came in on the climax.
You came in on the climax.
Typical.
Selfish man.
Right. I know. It's all about me.
All I care about is the climax, right?
Ooh.
Typical man.
No, but okay. In all seriousness, no, the climax is like one of the most important parts of the song. So at least in what we write, because we write like none of our songs so far have choruses, and we don't really repeat parts. We do what's called through composition, where every part is basically never repeated. It's always new until the end.
We might motif stuff, so people that when more songs get released, you might notice parts harken back to other songs in like a theme. Maybe it'll be a rhythm or a set of notes, but it's never like this is the verse, this is the bridge. That's
Yeah,
not the
exactly.
Way, yeah. And then I like the freeing, as you had mentioned earlier. That's like the freeing part of this type of music is that you don't have a boundary.
I feel like if you want a crescendo to a climax in a song, you have to use through composition. If you do the standard verse, chorus, it's kind of hard to have a climaxing effect.
Mhm.
I don't think through composition has even been the intention. It's just what has happened.
Yeah, it's just happened. Like we don't like we're making this sound a lot more like analytical than it is. We don't sit down like, okay, this is what we're doing today. Like we jam, and then when something happens, then like we put our thinking caps on.
I like that just because, and I've noticed actually, and with Bill a couple of times, like I would ask questions that would kind of aim towards a more structured pattern, whereas obviously not something that you guys do. And it's like, well, no, like we just kind of, and I like that it seems like your style and what you are writing is very organic. And I think that definitely produces the most natural content.
Yeah, I would agree. I think some people set out to write a top 40 hit, and that's fantastic because that's very hard to do. And then some people get in a room and hit notes and strings and cymbals until they like something, and take it or leave it, whatever you'd like to do, whatever works for you. I've been in bands before where there's only been one writer. One dude will write 4 people's parts, and that's what the band wants to do. That's awesome.
Yeah, to me that just kind of crushes my soul. I mean, I've done that shit too, and I'm at an age now where it's like I can't play music that doesn't resonate like somewhere inside of me. Like if I'm not playing music that doesn't deeply speak to me, then I'm just wasting my time now.
Yeah.
I think you can draw parallels there to our movie podcast, and when I talk about, your assembly line Hollywood movies and top 40 hits, right? You're making a song and giving it a structure is going to appeal to the masses.
Right.
I think.
We have to call it Nickelback syndrome.
Yeah, there you go, right?
My guilty pleasure.
So I like the idea that your songs don't repeat. To harken back to earlier in the show, not having lyrics. I think with lyrics, you're kind of guided in the song, right? Whereas in a song that goes on and also harkens back to other songs, you kind of created your own musical universe there. So if you relate that to like writing, right? So I talk about Stephen King a lot and how all his stories are related and in the same universe. So in a song with no lyrics that takes you on a journey, you're free to interpret that journey any way you want. Take it as you will, however it makes you feel.
Yeah, I anything writing is beautiful about that. I feel like there's very little artistic medium that express that as well as writing and music. I guess film can to an extent, but I personally, I find very few films that just make me tingly inside, and that's just like a personality trait, I guess. But if you're reading a good book, for example, I just read Animal Farm for the 90 millionth time of my life, and that book always gets me. It's just something about it that's gripping, Or certain albums will do the same thing, but
yeah. Well, I feel like film, like cinematography, can do it for me, but I think like it's never as strongly as like music.
Yeah, well, like there's shots, like I recently watched The Shining.
Yeah,
like shot for shot, that movie is unparalleled. I think it's beautifully framed, and you'll see a striking, like a color palette. Because in The Shining, in every frame, there's a hint of red, even though you may not notice it. There's always red in every frame of The Shining.
Yeah,
right. And when you pick up on that, it's striking, and it stands out, and it's like, oh, that's been something the whole time that you should be paying attention to. And I feel like music can have the exact same thing, and writing as well.
They do that in all the Marvel Netflix shows too.
That's where I was gonna go with that with the Defenders. Yeah,
right.
Would they add something in every scene?
Well, each character. So in Defenders, if you have Daredevil, you're getting a tint of red. If you have Luke Cage, you're getting a tint of yellow, and so on.
Oh, cool.
So each character, when it's going to be about a certain character, because the hue of the screen will change.
Were you hoping for a kaleidoscope when they first brought them all together?
Oh, I so was. Sure. Definitely was.
So
speaking of film, actually, we are playing a movie theater next week.
Yes, this is cool.
Yeah, so we need suggestions from you guys and from the chat. So what this movie theater does is on Fridays they open it and they have bands play, and bands play while there's silent film being played in the background, or just film with the sound turned off. So, like, we need ideas of what to play to. We were talking, like, maybe Blade Runner or Faust or something like that.
Also, before you get into the movies, we have to say this. If you live in the state and you can get to a Gunquit, it costs $0.00.
This is next Friday?
Yeah, next Friday, the 22nd, at the Gunquit.
At Levitt Theater in a Gunquit.
What time?
Yeah, what time?
10 p.m.?
10 p.m.
I think is when it starts. We go on first, I'm pretty sure.
And there's 3 bands, and they're all very good bands. But it is 100% free.
When do you go on?
10?
Probably right at 10 p.m.
Yeah.
10.
How far is the Gunquit from Portland?
We can get there in like 40 minutes.
Oh, is it shit?
Maybe?
Yeah, see, so
less than that. It's
maybe less.
Like 30,
maybe at 10 o'clock at night, you could probably get there quicker,
yeah, see, because,
speaking of shows, Portland, Tuesday the 26th, we're playing at Empire upstairs on Congress Street.
And that for $3.
For $3. So
nice.
you get $3 drinks, and it's a $3 cover. And
see, that I can actually go to. I have Wednesdays off now.
See, that would be cool. No, the only thing, like, we would be down, but we don't have any shows next Friday because there's a local Maine wrestling organization the owner's been on, and they have their big 2-year anniversary show on the 22nd.
Oh, cool.
Oh, damn.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And I don't know if any of you are or were wrestling fans, but Jack Swagger, formerly of WWE, is main eventing the event. So I don't know if that means anybody to
WWE when I was growing up, like in the Attitude Era, and then I kind of like
you wouldn't.
Yeah, that's where I'm at too, man. But it's all nostalgia, right? So
no, absolutely, yeah. No, I'd still watch a wrestling show live.
Especially, the live events are great.
Yeah,
and
these guys are amazing.
Knowing the kid that runs it makes it all that much cooler.
Yeah, the organization is owned by a kid from Northern Maine who's like 19.
Yeah,
he owns the organization. Wow. Yeah. And, like, he's had a lot of former greats on, and he's been on the show. It was a great, like, if you guys want to listen, it's Randy Carver. It was earlier this season, and it was a great episode talking about him getting started with the organization. But, yeah, he's a 19-year-old kid that runs a wrestling company, and it's amazing. Like, it's more entertaining than what's on TV right now. So
that's to be said a lot. And I don't know. Something I really enjoy about the Maine art scene, and art is a very vague term, people tend to be really supportive, even if it's not their thing. Like Maine,
right.
Especially growing up in a place that's as competitive as Austin, it's very cutthroat. Like, fuck you, you're in my way. But in Maine, it's just, hey, man, you're just trying to survive making art. Let's make some art.
Yeah, it's definitely a lot more relaxed and supportive. When I was in Seattle, it was like a cool kids club for the most part, and it was like stale. And then like I come back to Maine, it's like everybody's excited about what you're doing. I'm just like, shit, what the fuck is this place?
I mean, a 19-year-old kid getting recognition for owning a wrestling club, like, pretty cool, man.
Yeah, no, absolutely. That makes me excited. That makes me happy to hear that shit.
So this movie theater thing, is this something? Have you guys done this before?
No.
No.
This was pitched to me, and I jumped on it the instant I heard it because I've never done anything like this before, and I cannot wait to do this.
And I assume if it's something that you'll do again or not, we'll kind of depend on how it goes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know if they do it all throughout the winter. I don't know if it's just a fall thing.
It might just be a fall thing. They've been doing it every Friday for the past couple of months. I don't know how long it's going to be going for. But it's so funny.
That's so funny.
Somebody in chat recommended A Clockwork Orange for us. I think that's a pretty good idea.
Oh, Jesus.
I didn't think about that.
Yeah,
I
but
think
what
there's-
scene in the Clockwork Orange,
Well, so that's the problem. So we don't know if we can just say, "Oh yeah, we're going to do A Clockwork Orange," and they're just going to hit play like at the beginning, or we can actually say like we want this scene or starting at this time. And I think there's some nudity in that.
Yeah. So do you want the high-speed
there's
sex
Oh, yeah,
montage?
super graphic
There's like a
rape
whole
scene.
rape
Yeah.
scene.
Oh yeah, that whole part. Where
So do you
it's
want that montage, or do you want the high-speed sex montage,
just
or the
do the,
indoctrination
We
scene?
can do Apocalypse Now. That would be pretty fucked.
Apocalypse Now?
Yeah. Like, especially like during like either the Purple Haze trip or that part where he's like going crazy and everything's all dark and like twisty.
Let's do the porn version of Cockalypse now.
What about I mean, I don't know if it would fit. Again, only having heard what was the song on Bandcamp, I don't know. But when it comes to something that would be visually impressive without the accompanying lines or music in the background, I'm thinking like the tunnel scene in Charlie and the Chocolate Factory.
Oh,
I
shit.
mean, 2001: A Space Odyssey.
Yeah,
There's like
2001:
a
A
dozen
Space Odyssey is
opportunities there.
something we've thrown out too because of that. But that's exactly what we're going for, like something that's really visually
Yeah.
impactful
'Cause that's-
in either a really weird way or
Right.
a really kind of trippy way.
Because if you think of something that's visually impactful and you don't need anything else in the movie to go with it, like that particular scene it's very jarring.
You
We'll
would
just
have
put
to
on
have
the
it
whole
on
movie.
repeat,
We'll
given the
put on
length of your
Interstellar.
songs.
Yeah.
Interstellar. That actually wouldn't be terrible,
Yeah, just-
honestly.
When he's in the Tesseract looking thing at the end of the movie.
Yeah.
Just like climbing around shit. It's probably not called a Tesseract. I got no idea. But yeah. Somebody else said,
Something I didn't heard. Yeah, I don't know what that is.
What the fuck
Hey,
is
what?
that?
Yeah, I'm not seeing these. What the fuck?
It's like
I'm not kidding.
hell. Just show childbirth videos.
Yes,
Childbirth
I was
videos,
gonna say,
okay.
yeah, that's gonna be a great
That's really
thing.
fucked up.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's Corey.
Seeing that shit live, I don't need to see that fucking.
It's
It's
No
fucking,
thanks.
I don't want
bring
that.
bring a home movie.
Bring a home movie.
Oh my god.
You know what though? We could shoot a whole movie of some fucked up bullshit and just bring that and be like, just play this.
Brandon, I need you to film a time lapse of one leaf, and we'll just put that on the screen.
I can do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You sure you don't want to reenact how you guys all met?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Which
there you
version
go.
of it?
They-
Yeah,
they-
I mean, there's several. We lay a tarp down like every other week.
Oh my god.
There you go. The Turkish spa.
Yeah.
Turkish
Yeah,
bath.
exactly.
Yeah, that's it.
A Turkish bathhouse.
We could
scene.
play like a Gigi Allen set, like in the background, like if you guys are familiar with him.
Yeah, we've talked about this.
Yep.
Legal matter and whatnot.
Yeah, he gets naked and shits everywhere and throws it at the crowd, and everybody's into it.
Well,
Like this is a real thing. I'm not kidding. This existed.
So it's like R-rated Gallagher.
What?
Like, I mean, Gallagher was smashing.
It's like German Pornhub Gallagher.
Yeah, no, like look up Gigi Allen and the Murder Junkies. You can only
No,
find you can
Yeah,
Don't do that.
you can only find live performances of his acts on porn sites because they're that graphic.
You know what? Even better, look it up on your work computer.
Yeah, look up on your work computer. Also, look up on your work computer Blue Waffles.
Oh god, no! You're leading them astray.
Don't
Disgusting.
see?
I don't want to know what any of that stuff is.
No, you don't. You're correct. You don't. That's
Yeah.
that's accurate.
I'm feeling bad flashbacks of when I was told to watch Two Girls, One Cup.
You want blue waffles? Come on.
2 girls, 1 cup. That's
Yeah.
what we should have on.
One guy, one jar.
You can have Mr. Hands on repeat. That'll be
Oh
fun.
yeah, Mr. Hands.
You get,
The horse fucks him to death.
what about salad fingers? Just play the YouTube.
Dude,
You
Salad
read my
Fingers, I
fucking
love
mind,
Salad.
man.
Dude, what is that guy's name? David Firth.
Yeah,
he's
David
he's wonderful.
Mr. Hands fades into salad fingers.
Just Transitions.
Can you do a British accent?
I like
No.
spoon.
I can do hello.
I like spoon.
Hello.
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 The fish is about done.
Yes.
Did you ever watch Burnt Face Man? It's also by the guy who does Salad
I'll look
Fingers.
it up
You
later.
have to watch it. I can't do it. I would quote it, but I can't do it justice.
How like do you have any idea what the age would be for the audience of the theater?
Probably like 20s to like early 30s is my assumption. But I mean, when you go to like shows like this, the age variety can surprise you. Sometimes you see older people there. Sometimes you see teenagers there.
And it's still kind of, as you guys know, it's still kind of tour season, so somebody might be able to go off the
Right.
street.
Because my thought was like if you wanted to go really, I mean, I suppose it would actually be maybe a good complete contrast to the music you're making. But like you mentioned a home video, like make like a collaboration of like popular like memes and internet things over the last couple of years and then make music to that.
Jesus.
Do you know that would take?
We would be like hashtag the band and I would feel like I love memes, but like I would feel like dirty inside, not the good kind either. If we did that,
It'd be the evolution of memes, right?
Yeah.
So you start off
Yeah,
with,
the evolution of memes.
back on 4chan back in the day.
You can just do the decline of society leading up until
Well,
Trump took
the
office.
the
and
decline
that'd
of
be fun.
society is.
Western civilization.
What does literally show all of Trump's campaign videos back to back?
That's all you
There
need
you
to
go.
do.
Yeah.
All you need to do is show his speech to the Boy Scouts, right?
Oh yeah.
Just
yeah.
put it on
Yeah.
mute and show that.
We really could though go like search YouTube and find like some of the just not gross shit or anything like that, but just weird, like like you said, a time lapse of a leaf that takes 30 minutes and it's like a whole lifespan of a leaf.
Yeah.
We could find shit like that and just slurp it off of YouTube and put it on a DVD or something and be like, here, just play this. There's nothing weird on it.
Yeah,
go-
I'll have to ask. Remind me. I'll ask the guy that runs it the specifics
And
of it.
you know what would be the
So-
greatest thing about it? We bring all this material, we're super prepared. They're like, oh no, we need the reels.
Yeah, of course.
The actual old school reels of movies.
So Corey mentions the movie The Wizards. I have to say I totally agree with that. That's the one.
The
The
Wizards?
Wizards.
I know that one.
Is
I've
that
never
one?
seen The Wizards.
No. All I know is
It's-
The Wizard
it's,
with Doogie Howser.
no,
Or with
no.
what's this? Not Doogie Howser. What's his face?
It's early 80s, I think, animated film. It's fucked up.
The Wizards?
Animated would be interesting.
Animated would be interesting,
What,
but
like an anime or like
Death Note?
play Akira, like the transformation part. That'd be weird as fuck.
I'll
if we
have to
did
look up
that.
Wizards. That sounds just Wizards. Okay, I'm down. I'll look it up. Is it like? Can you find the whole thing on YouTube? That's the real question.
I would imagine that you can.
Yeah, that's what I would do.
Plus, it's a
absolutely.
small theater in a Gunkwit, so I'm sure they're not going to worry too much about any type of copyright issue.
I don't know, man. It's a gunkwit. It's pretty hoity-toity in
Is
a
it
gunkwit.
hoity-toity?
yeah, we're not real clear on the rules to this, so we're probably gonna break them.
Yeah, we're definitely breaking them. I mean, that's just the fun about rules, anyway.
I mean, if you got through the entire song, it gets pretty heavy at the end, and I don't know how that's gonna go over in a theater while a movie's playing, but we're gonna do it regardless.
yeah.
Right.
Well, I mean, it's silent, so
Yeah.
kind of loud. Yeah, the guy told us like, don't blow the doors off the place, and I'm just like, okay, all right. So we're gonna do just shy of that.
That's the plan.
Like we have to be like somewhat loud, or else it kind of loses.
That's
the
it. Don't blow the doors off the place. Do the theater burning down scene from Inglourious Bastards.
Yes.
Just the whole time.
Yeah, just on loop, just the theater burning.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
That'd be a great.
Or like the part where like Eli Roth is
Look how
like
much he
shooting
perks
Hitler's
up.
face
Just
over and
talking about
over, and
that.
Hitler's face is just
Yeah,
peeling
so see,
away.
make it topical. Put it in the theater.
And then have our friends stand outside and hold the doors closed.
Yeah. yeah. Everybody's in, and they're just like, wait, why is it? They feel uncomfortable just seeing like a film of a theater
We'll get
burning
a-
down.
We'll
Do you
rent
have-
a smoke machine.
Well, you know what's funny is you and I were on the same wavelength. As I say, do you have any friends that vape?
Yeah, I was gonna say we get a bunch of friends that vape, and then yeah.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Vapors Unite. We'll do 2 Facebook events. Vaping in front of the Levitt Theater.
Will,
this time, like-
people walk around with like fake pipe bombs like strapped to their legs and shit,
Oh,
like in a
God.
Glorious Bastards? Everybody's gonna get super uncomfortable.
Yeah.
The cops will get called. It'll be a story for the grandkids.
So yeah. Anyway, this show's gonna go really well. It's gonna be fun.
In the chat, just have the smell of burnt wood.
That's a good idea.
But they make mandals.
I'll go get that. Yeah, I'll go get the Yankee. I'll go to the Yankee
Mandals.
candle store and
Make-
get the burnt wood. The
Make
burnt
it
wood
a
candle.
make it a 4D experience.
Oh my god, yes. Our music is so powerful you can smell it. It smells like burning.
It smells like burning.
Oh, that reminds me.
Oh,
Remind me about the Destiny candles when we go off air, because I have to remember to get those.
Oh God, are you really getting those?
I am getting them.
Okay.
They smell like certain armor sets.
Sorry, no. So for the release of Destiny 2, now I've already played through the entire story on Xbox One, but I'll be
That's
getting it on
marketing
PC.
at its finest.
Yeah. So they have. So there's 4 planets. Yeah. There's Earth. There's Jupiter. There's anyway. Whatever.
There
It's
are
not important.
actually 9 of them, but whatever.
In the game. Jesus. Anyway, so of the 4 main planets you go to, there are 4 candles that you can buy that smell like the planet. So you can light the candle while you're on the
This
planet.
planet smells like shit.
I don't know. I think it's pretty cool.
Oh,
so I wanna-
you must be on Uranus then.
Oh,
Heyo.
we're done here. Thank you guys.
Yeah.
Thanks for coming out. Good show.
Mic drop.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. No, that's perfect.
Uranus, I'm out.
He's out of Uranus.
You have a mic, but it might clip if I drop it. Yeah, I ruined my own joke.
Now we're just talking about burning. There we go. Destiny candles. Do they smell like burning cash?
Earth can be distilled
And then
into a single
Uranus.
smell. If Earth had a singular smell, what would it be? The stench of humanity?
Well, yeah. Body odor.
Body odor.
I think the amount of human beings that don't wear deodorant outnumber the ones that do. I
Can
think it'd be body
you
odor.
can you define the smell of white trash through the ages?
Oh yeah, dude. No, I got it. You got to get the interior of a PT Cruiser that's got wood panel sides and microwavable fish sticks.
Well, that'd be the smell.
white trash
I
as hell.
think that's the smell of white trash. Well, if Earth had a smell, isn't like the Earth like 80% like water? So wouldn't the smell be like salt water?
Yeah, you and JF are on the same
Yeah.
line of thought there.
You smart people going
Oh,
logically.
I didn't
with it.
even see that.
Yeah.
But does
Yeah,
that really
salt water with the fucking globe? Yeah, good call, my man.
if you were gonna identify Earth through smell for aliens, right?
Yeah.
Would you want them to smell salt water?
I don't know.
Worst case
I
scenario.
like salt water, but I
Well,
live in Maine.
The smell of the sea. Fuck
Yeah.
yeah.
No, I hate it. I'm from northern
Really?
Maine. I like the smell of dirt.
So okay, let's take this even farther. What is the culmination of the what is, if every country
Talking about
if no listen if every country had a candle, what would the U.S.'s candle scent be?
Fucking
Yeah,
freedom,
Hold,
obviously.
hold on. I have an answer for this.
It smell like
Eagles?
No,
McDonald's,
it would
man.
it would be Cheetos.
McDonald's.
It has to be.
Oh, you're
It'd be
right.
Cheetos.
Cheetos?
Yeah.
Why
It's
Cheetos?
a president knock. The orange hair.
Oh, that's funny.
Cheetos.
Yeah.
Never mind.
Ah. Cheetos it is.
I feel like this
Cheetos.
could evolve into something really racist.
That's
Yeah,
why
it's-
I'm choosing.
Yeah, I was gonna say, what does Japan smell like? Rice? Like
It smells like anime. Thank you.
Oh my god. No.
Japan smells like anime.
Ah,
Oh wait.
Smells
Somebody
smells
in
like.
chat said U.S. candle is ranch dressing and ketchup corn.
oh,
Yeah,
an
yeah.
A1 sauce. An A1 sauce.
There you go.
Does
God.
self-important
I mean, Canada's easy. Canada
Yellow
smells like
mustard.
maple
God,
syrup.
You eat yellow mustard and like or A1 sauce, you should just be
Is
drawing
it not
quarter.
American enough that like the scents we go for are just food?
Yeah, that food in general, we overeat more than any other.
Well, it's.
fucking
I mean, it's
country,
not so much.
food.
It's not so much just that, but it's. It's. I mean, that's the most odoring thing.
What
that
the
we
fuck
have.
are we talking about right now?
I don't know.
What
dude.
happened?
We're talking about the best things. That's what we're fucking talking
And
about.
you know what's really bad is that chat is way better at answering these questions than we are. It's like so far they're absolutely fucking killing it. Like every time we're like, oh shit, someone in chat just had the perfect answer.
Yeah, but half the
Step our
people-
game.
Although speaking of chat, Annalisa said that there's also Zelda candles, and she bets they smell better than Destiny candles. I beg to disagree because if there's a Zelda candle that's accurate to Breath of the Wild, it should smell like fear and tears and bitter hatred because that game is fucking hard.
What does fear smell like?
feces and urine.
Does it?
That's fair.
He's not wrong.
Yeah, fair. Cold sweat. Yeah.
Zelda candle? That would be like.
This is a real conversation we're having.
Yeah, we're talking about
Okay.
Zelda
No,
candles.
no, is
What
it-
would Princess Zelda smell
No,
like?
if Zelda, okay, chat. If Zelda candles are real,
No,
what
they
are
are.
called?
They are real. That's what
Okay,
she was
so
saying.
They are real. What is like Kokiri Forest is a candle scent? Like what?
It's pronounced kokery.
Oh.
Okay.
It's like potpourri.
It's like poper.
Oh my god.
I
Gandalf.
I should have put a fedora on.
I think
That's-
I think it's Kokari.
Like- You every time I talk.
I think I
like,
have no
constant-
fucking idea one way or the other. So
Yeah.
So
Well,
yeah,
man,
so
mate.
so this is what happens on our podcast.
Yeah. Well, I know it's y'all's show, but I'm tired as hell, man. I'm not gonna lie to you.
No, that's by all means. We were saying earlier. Like
hey man, I tried to get you guys out in an hour and you didn't want that. So now you're in for
Well,
5.
wanted to
I don't give
devolve
a
into this
fuck
shit.
if you're
This is
tired or
what
not.
we have
It's
to
not
get
over
to.
yet.
We needed to get to what does Princess fucking what does the
Zelda.
Princess Zelda smell like? We needed to get there.
If you do want to hear the lowdown of whether or not Princess Zelda has nipples, you can listen to our last episode of All Geeked Up, because that is a big contention on the internet right now.
Damn.
What, because of
People on the internet.
No, it's because in Breath of the Wild it was revealed that Link doesn't have nipples, and in the recent Super Mario Odyssey footage it was revealed that Mario does have nipples.
That
So-
was creepy, by the
But-
way.
but is this real?
When
Right?
I saw Mario without a shirt on, it was really weird.
Also,
Why
did
is
they have
that
to get?
even a thing?
Did they have to let him wear a gold chain?
Who, Mario?
Yeah, I know he's Italian, but
That's
it could
racist.
literally be any more.
That's racist.
Stop being so racist against Italians.
Also,
Right?
did
He
you
loves carrying a bowl
did you
of
see that
spaghetti or
Nintendo
something.
Nintendo officially put out a press release saying he retired from being a plumber?
Really?
Yeah, he's no longer a plumber.
What is he now? Just
Full-time
happily
twink.
retired?
They haven't said yet. I think it's like stuff for Odyssey, because in Odyssey, like he actually exists.
No. Full-time twink.
Twink, yeah, he exists.
Mario. Mustache
Mario's not a twink though.
He exists.
Okay, so,
He exists
Mario-
in the real world for the first time in Odyssey. You can run around New York with him.
Yeah,
so,
I know. So they took it back to the early 90s like
TV,
show.
yeah, the movie, yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, okay, so these guys want to get out of here. It's hot in this room.
It is fucking
I think
hot.
we can wrap up. So do you guys want to give a quick rundown with your links, and we'll make sure they get copied in the chat and everything else like that?
Yeah. So first off, thank you guys for having us. It's been a
Yes,
lot of
thank you
fun.
very much.
If you ever need a time filler for any other podcast, we'll talk geeky stuff
Yep,
all day, man.
Yeah, we can talk more about Zelda's nipples and what fucking ranch dressing smells like. So yeah.
But we are This World Has Bees from Maine. You can find us by the same name on Facebook and Twitter and Bandcamp.
Yeah, Bandcamp, thisworldhasbees.bandcamp.com.
And I think we also have an Instagram that we never use, but dude, follow us, because eventually maybe we'll put some pictures on.
Mostly of the dogs though. So if you like the Pugtato, like follow us on Instagram.
Yeah, that'd be a sweet thing. And once we get a band Tinder account, swipe right if that's the direction. So, and for those of you in Maine,
Nice callback.
Exactly. On the 22nd, which is next Friday, we'll be playing at the Levitt Theater at Gunquit, and on the 26th, which is 2 Tuesdays from now, we'll be playing at Empire Chinese Food upstairs. And
What time will that show be at?
That show starts at 9.
9,
p.m.
yeah, I think it's 9.
And I think we are opening, so we'll be playing from like 9 to 9:30, 9:45.
We
yes,
can-
yes. So get there at 9 sharp.
We can certainly talk off air, but there's a good chance I could go to that because I work in Scarborough and I'm out at 8:30.
Yeah, we can definitely.
Nice.
make
Yeah,
that.
we'd love to have you.
see you, dude.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
We freaking cool.
Also, there's one other link. We're on Twitter at This World Has Bees, and just take the O out of world. So THISWRLDHASBEES. Follow us on Twitter.
Yeah, we do Twitter machine things. Anybody else got anything?
Good.
Since we are recording tomorrow, we'll have some footage on our Facebook from the process. So if you want to follow us and kind of get snippets of the song, by all means, check that out.
They want to know if the pig pug will be at the live show.
I'll tell you what. I'll take a picture of him, and if you come talk to me, I'll show you a picture. We'll have him say bye right now. How about
He
that?
doesn't like loud sounds, so
Yeah.
There you go.
1 part pig, 1 part pug, pig, pug.
And you may actually hear him groaning because it's very audible.
Yes.
That's
It's
great.
like, it's like Joe Pesci, his dog.
Oh, well, thanks again, you guys.
Oh yeah, let's
Thank
yeah
you
we'll
to
play
everybody
the
in
out.
chat.
We'll play the out, and then we'll talk a little bit off air, and then we'll call it a night. So yeah,
Yeah,
a
man.
big thank you guys for coming on, and let's
Thanks, chat.
do.
All right.
Yeah.
Thank
You
you,
can watch
guys.
Mind of a
Thank
Geek
you,
live.
chat.
Friday
That was
nights
cool.
Hold on,
Oh, we
I
got the-
a little behind. Well, no, I have an outro bumper, and then it's all good. We're good. Everything's good.
This
yeah,
always happens.
Actually, I didn't even say that, but
This is
yeah, chat room.
professional as
You
fuck.
guys, chat room killed it tonight. So.
Way to go.
Dude, I loved every second of this, and I didn't know you guys had like such an interactive like chat.
It's
Like
cool,
that,
man.
that was really awesome.
Yeah, I dig that.
Yeah, but that's it's the chat room every Friday night. These guys rock. It's why we continue to do it live. So it definitely makes it worth it. All right, we'll do the official wrap up, and then we'll go into post show.
Fucking we'll do it live.
You can watch Mind of a Geek live Friday nights at 9:30 p.m. Eastern Time at twitch.tv/AintGeekStudios. Follow us on Twitter at IG_Mind of a Geek and on Facebook at Facebook.com/Mind of a Geek. You can email us at mindofageekpodcast@gmail.com. You can find our schedule for upcoming guests at InkedGeekStudios.com/Mind of a Geek. If you would like to be considered as a guest on an upcoming episode of Mind of a Geek, go to tiny.cc/MOAG guest and submit your form today. And as always, if you enjoy the content here on Mind of a Geek and at Inked Geek Studios, please consider going to patreon.com/IG Studios. As little as $1 a month helps support this and all of our other great shows. We thank everybody who currently supports us. That's it for this week's episode. A big thank you to our guest, for Brandon, for myself, and for the rest of IG Studios. Thank you all very much for listening, and we'll see you guys next week. You've been listening to an Inked Geek Studios podcast. For this and other great shows, go to inkedgeekstudios.com.